Hey everybody, this is Geneva of Geneva's Closet. But if you didn't know, this conversation will also be living on my podcast, Unpolished with Geneva McLean. Because the truth is, some stories are just too good to keep in the closet. And today we're talking about weight loss, health, and transformation. And listen, over here, we don't sugarcoat the struggle. We don't pretend it's easy, and we don't glamorize quick fixes. We talk about the ups, the downs, and the messy middle. And we got a special guest today, which is my man, Chad. But before we bring Chad in, y'all know me, I had to do a little research and I just happened to come across this article, and I hope you all can hear me just fine. But I just happened to come across this article, and it's 8th, 2024, and it's called I'm a Doctor on Ozempic. It's effective under one condition. So let me read a little bit of this to you. Wait a minute. Where did I go? Okay, here I go. I was like, where did my thing go? Okay, so let me read a little bit of this to you. It says, now the doctor said, I struggle with my weight. As a physician, I understand the science of gaining and losing pounds. I speak often about culinary, medicine, and yet even with knowledge and resources, I have lost and regained the same 25 pounds for nearly 30 years. Sounds familiar? This is why even doctors are personally intrigued by the hype around obesity wonder drugs. Okay, so the doctor said, I started my journey with Ozempic in 2023. I was at my heaviest with signs of pre-type 2 diabetes and challenges with weight-related sleep apnea. Today, I am 35 pounds lighter. I have normalized my A1C and no longer require CPAP. Yeah, the whole CPAP machine. But I suspect I may never be able to come off these drugs without reverting to old patterns and regaining weight. Ain't that something that the doctor said that? He said, in the absence of carbohydrate cravings, I'm left instead with questions. Did I need this drug in the first place? Have we found what is a panacea? Panacea, I don't know what that is. Or are we opening a Pandora's box? I'm not the first and won't be the last to ask. Answers may be years away. Okay, now this is what then he said that I said. He said, after a year with excellent outcomes from a clinical perspective, I attempted to
There's nothing called I am a doctor on Ozempic is
God.
effective under one condition. So let me read a little bit of this to you. Wait a minute.
What is that? My computer is talking. Wait, why is it doing that? I don't even know why my computer is talking. The doctor said, after a year with excellent outcomes from a clinical perspective, I attempted to wean off Ozempic. When the drug was out of my system, my appetite returned and I gained 8 pounds in 2 weeks. Then he said, we may succeed temporarily, but some experts believe that 80 to 95% of us will gain back whatever we lose. Ain't that something? Researchers describe this pattern as near ubiquitous, early weight loss that stalls after several months, followed by progressive weight regain. I thought that was really interesting. That's what the doctor said. So, like I said, I got a special guest with me, my man, Chad, and he's going to share how he dropped the weight and what that journey really looked like for him. So grab your tea, lean in, and let's get unpolished about it. So, hey, Chad, how you doing?
What's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing out there?
We're doing
All
good.
praise is due to the Most High for this day.
Won't he do it?
This understanding, this wisdom, discernment that He's allowing. All praise is due to Him.
So let me start off by saying this, just because I've been with Chad for 18 years. Let me text I've been with Chad for 18 years, and I know that you have struggled. I've seen you struggle with the whole weight thing for 18 years. I've seen you try different fasts, diet. You did kickboxing and stuff, and you did that for some months or whatever. I seen you do you know try to get some walking and a little exercise in. You have not been a huge fan of the gym, so I probably only got you to go to the gym a few times. But nevertheless, like I really seen you struggle with the whole weight thing, and now the fact that you've lost what 60 pounds, is it 60 70 pounds in
Just
7 6 7 months,
6 months, 6.5 months.
6.5 months is amazing because you did that all off of changing your relationship with food. I mean, like you didn't even go to the gym, right? And everybody say that you got to go to the gym too, right? I'm seeing people talk about that they even the people that's taking this Ozempic and taking them other drugs, like because what's the name of the other drugs? It is we got Ozempic, the GLP-1. I guess that's the Ozempic. We got Wegovy, Mounjaro, and Zepbound. Even those people that I see that's taking these drugs, they talking about that they got to go work out and stuff too. You know, even though I don't really think that they're working out, and I don't really think that they've changed their relationship with food. Hence, what the doctor just said, he ended up gaining all of his weight and stuff back. But right, you did not go to the gym. You really changed your relationship with food. So, can you explain to the people first of all, how did all of this get started? Like, was it just something that happened with you where you was like, you know what, it's time for me to lose weight? Like, how did you get started on this weight loss journey? How did this all start off? Because it's something that you struggled with for a long time. So I know it's something you was probably back and forth with. So can you explain that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess my weight gain started after I got out of the military. The military being the height of my physical career as a human being and being in great physical condition, but still I had an underdeveloped understanding and relationship with food because it was always attributed to me that you eat these type of meals and then you work out, count your calories, count your protein and all that other stuff. And then as long as you worked out and you were eating, well to what the normal societal standards and standards of food would be, that you would be fine. So after coming out of the military, I didn't have still an understanding and a relationship, a good relationship with food, although I knew how to count calories and knew that physical exercise was supposed to combat, caloric intake. You have to be in a caloric deficit. You have to make sure you get your protein and not too much carbs and all of these other different things. So throughout time, with still no true understanding of how things work and what's important and what's not important, I started to gain weight because I stopped working out after coming out of the military. I stopped running. The military being extremely rigorous and physical. Obviously, I came out. I try to keep some of those same regimens, but over time, you stop. And then food tastes good because it's chemically induced to taste good and to create patterns in your brain, triggering different receptor sites in the brain chemically that causes you to become addicted to it.
Okay, so when you say that you didn't have a good relationship with food, what does that mean? Like, do you feel like you were overeating, or you was just eating the wrong things? What does that mean that you didn't have a good relationship with food?
Well, that's a good question. So, as far as not having a good relationship with food, it's the misappropriation, the misunderstanding, the misconceptualizing of what food really is. It is the Western American mindset and mentality on how to address food and only referencing food by calories, protein, carbs, fats, saturated fats. That's all I really knew about food. I didn't know about the chemical attributes and different things that assimilate in the body because we don't have understanding and we don't have teaching from that in the Western world. So eating food was nothing more than as long as I can eat a burger and that's this many grams of protein. French fries, having a drink. Yes, there's sugar in the drink, but we're not understanding how high fructose corn syrup assimilates in the bloodstream, um, spiking your blood sugar and causing the body to go in a panic state of living. Like, so that's not what we're understanding. We're just thinking, okay, well, I'll go grab some chips, I'll grab some snacks, not knowing how that, appropriates to your body, not understanding how that actually causes mayhem within your internal system, the mini universe that you have within you, which are your AKA your cells and whatnot. So the relationship that I had with food was only indicative and only based off of what I had known via the the chart, the pyramid chart, where they say 6 to 11 servings of bread, 2 to 3 servings of meat, or no, I think meat was 3 to 5 servings, and then fruits was like 2 to 3 servings, or 3 to 5 servings, and then vegetable, whatever servings, and all that indoctrination that we learned from when we were children, going up to grade school, junior high, high school. That's all I know. So that by default is not a good relationship, because that's not true at all.
Now, what I remember, okay, so let me just go back. I remember, like I said, that you had been trying like diets or fasting, because you used to do a lot of fasting.
Mhm.
You used to do a lot of fasting and diets and stuff. Okay. And then I remember, okay, because then I remember this was back when we were still living in Illinois. You were eating like salads and stuff all the time at work, and then trying to not eat as much food. And then I'm assuming that maybe you was losing a little weight, but just not as much as you wanted to lose. So it was still a struggle there. Then I remember in 2021, that's when we moved to Las Vegas. And then I remember you had ended up getting sick for a little bit of time. What we thought it could have been like a lower form of COVID or something that you caught. And I don't remember if you were sick for like a week or two, but I remember that you didn't eat. And I'm assuming that was when you first lost a little bit of weight. Is that how that happened?
Yeah.
Okay, you lost a little bit of weight. So I don't know if that did something for you in your mind, where you was like, okay, like, so I stopped eating because I was sick for 2 weeks, and then I done sat here and lost weight, because I don't know how soon after that you ended up doing the kickboxing. So then kickboxing then became a thing. So I don't know if you then put in your head that maybe if I then be active and then change the way that I eat, that then I would do, lose more weight. Because I think that was probably a lot of weight that you lost at the time that you got sick.
Yeah. So that was the quickest amount of weight that I had lost in the shortest amount of time.
How much weight did you
I
lose?
probably ended up losing like 15 pounds, 10 to
Wow.
15 pounds in like 2 weeks, maybe.
Okay, so then you went and did the kickboxing. Did you feel like you was losing weight during the kickboxing?
I definitely did not lose as much weight kickboxing as I do now, which is the regime I'm on now.
And you were going 5 days a week.
5 days a week, probably burning somewhere around 800 to 1,000 calories per session.
And had you changed the way that you was eating at that time?
To a varying degree, yes, I did. I would do a lot of smoothies and stuff with different seeded fruits and whatnot, and arugula herbs, everything that was on the list that was approved. So I did do that, but still, I didn't represent food appropriately, because I hadn't gotten to the stage, like the Most High didn't unlock the understanding, the full understanding. And I'm not saying my understanding is unparalleled, but I'm saying the understanding that I have now of how to attribute things to my body, because this is the most I've ever paid attention to my body, and this is the most data I've collected ever in life, with weighing myself so much and analyzing. But at that point in time, I still didn't have all the pieces that I have now. Not saying I have every piece, but I just didn't have as many pieces that I have now, which is, I would say, data points, different data points of information. But even before the Most High allowed me to be sick, which I feel like was a big transitional moment in time for me, I had been on a cleanse back when I was working at the other. And just to clarify, I've been a scientist for a while. So science and like data and information and how I assess certain things is going to come in a more scientific perspective, because I've been a science microbiologist as far as pharmaceuticals. I work for pharmaceutical companies. I've also done biochemistry for a company that makes oils, greases, and fluids. Like we actually made detergents and whatnot for Shell Oil and Mobil Oil. Made different detergents to clean your engines and stuff like that. And then I've been a microbiologist for science and like Pediasure and Ensure and thickened beverage for people that have dysphagia and stuff like that. And so I've been a microbiologist for oils and powders and stuff like that, for different ingredients and formulations that are kind of middlemen mixtures to business overall, like GNC powders and different powders for protein shakes and pea proteins and ube powders. And so I've helped with formulas. So this is the perspective and narrative that I come from, not to try to relish anything, but to just try to explain my perspective and how I view things. And so at that time, when I was working for Lions, I did cleanses.
When we were still in
Yeah,
Illinois.
when we were still in
Okay.
Illinois, I did cleanses. I was trying to garner understanding about food and cleanses and stuff like that. But one of the biggest things where it didn't make me as much it didn't make as much as a transition for me was because I did not understand that before you heal yourself, you have to address the gut. The gut is where all of your absorption is. So to put it in perspective, if you were a car and your car needed maintenance, what working out would be to go to the car wash and make your car look good, shining and putting new wheels and tires on your car. Meanwhile, there's a check engine light. And what working out addresses muscle fibers and tissues, but when you consume things, those are organ issues. So you can be as in shape as you want because you have trained the muscle fiber. So you go to the gym and you work your legs. You go to the gym and you work out on your arms and your shoulders and you do all of that stuff. You try to get abs. And people believe that that is actually causing you to be healthy, but health starts with the organs. You cannot address the things that's around the car to make the car aesthetically look good without. So you got 30 check engine lights on and your engine is going bad, but then you want to wash the car and then make the aesthetics look good and believe that that's healing, and it's not. The check engine lights also, you cannot start to consume healthy things on top of you not cleansing. That's like taking fresh engine oil and pouring it into an engine that has ran 50,000 miles, 80,000 miles, and think that that engine is going to get benefits from clean engine oil when you still have not done an oil change. You have to
Flush.
you have to alleviate all of the oil over all time, which is congruent to liver, all your filtering organs, liver, kidneys, heart, lungs, pancreas, spleen, bladder. All of those things are how you live. Working out addresses tissues and fibers. And I'm not telling people to not work out, but you cannot eat chemicals. The chemicals do affect the fibers, but they affect your organs first. So in the relationship with the whole car thing, it's like a person going their whole life, 20, 30, 50, 60 years old, or taking a car 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 miles and never changing the oil. What happens to the car? It will seize. You can put as much fresh oil on top of dirty engine oil and use dirty air filters that's still been there. You will cause the engine to stress and it will not properly be able to spark. You have to change spark plugs. You have to change the oil. You have to change the freon, coolant. All of these things need to be addressed for the car to run properly. And I think that that's the issue. I don't think that that's it. That is the issue. 100%, 1,000% guaranteed. You cannot address just the physical aspect without dealing with the filtering and internal organs. The organs is what keeps you alive. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So then what did you do then to clean out your system?
So the first thing I would advise is.
What did you do?
I did a cleanse.
Okay.
Actually, the first thing I did, the very first thing, I prayed to the Most High.
Okay.
That's the very first thing, because sometimes you need help. All the time we need help. And then, weight loss is just it's so difficult because of all the different information. There's a preponderance of information all throughout the internet. You don't know who to believe. You don't know who's telling the truth. You don't know who wants to just sell you something. Everybody's an internet guru. Everybody knows everything. And so that makes it become extraordinarily and extremely difficult. And it can be stringent to even know who to turn to and who to believe in. And then secondly, just not being aware of the data. So if you're not aware of the data, you don't even know who to trust and who slightly could be telling the truth and then who's on something different. So the overall is, first and foremost, I prayed. And sometimes the Most High take a little bit of time, longer time. It could be years. So this is something I struggled with for a long time. But the progenitor of this whole situation was when I got sick. So I got sick. That changed information. That changed data for me, because I was able to see from a more outside perspective and perception of like, oh, so if I don't eat, then I can lose a lot of weight. And when we lose weight, technically we're losing waste. But so I'm losing weight because I'm not eating and I'm seeing that I'm going to the bathroom often. And I'm like, why am I going to the bathroom so often? And then the way that it felt moving these bowels that was moving out of my gut. So I remember like I was almost repulsed by food for that time because I was so sick. I had chills in my back. My stomach was upside down. The smell of food made me sick, everything. So it was almost like a psychological thing that the Most High kind of like shifted my psychology, my psyche, and my understanding, with food based off of how I was feeling at that moment as far as being sick. So I didn't even remember, I didn't even want any food. I was like, I don't even want to smell no food because it's going to trigger me to be sick. And so that kind of helped me to begin my journey in developing an understanding and trying to look at food differently, not as something that I needed, but something that I could do without. And then seeing the weight loss from just simply not really eating that often. And that was the beginning that kind of started me on this particular journey.
Okay, so you took the cleanse. How long? Okay.
Oh yeah. So
okay,
to
right.
add in with that, so the cleanse after I came from my sickness, of course I had new data, new perspectives, new understanding. I started looking at things and I was like, you know what? Since I've just made this much of a dent, because at that time I was probably like I think I was like 330 something, 320, maybe 320 something, 330. And then I had dropped down to like 318, 315. And that was huge. That was huge. I hadn't, seen that much weight loss in that short amount of time. So I'm like, okay, well, let me use this as a springboard. Let me try to see if I can take this. And then so I start kind of reconceptualizing my perspective and my mind and my narrative. And I said, okay, I'm going to start preparing my mind to take this cleanse again. And this cleanse is an intracellular cleanse. So I get all my cleanses from my herbalist that lives in Jamaica. And so this is a person that I vetted out for about probably 12, 13 years. And I bought products for him. I've done cleanses with him before. But this is an intracellular cleanse, which is a 3-part cleanse, and it's all tonics. One part of the cleanse is a iron. It's a bionourisher, so it's iron phosphorus or iron phosphate rather. And then the second part of the cleanse is a chelation, which is good for removing mucus, and parasites, and plaque outside of your GI tract, small intestine, large intestines. And then the third part of it is I think it's phosphates, if I'm not mistaken. And this is to respark and reinvigorate the body, bring oxygen to the cells, this, that, and the third, and also clean in between the cells. That's what intracellular means. Cleanses the cells and in between the cells. So I will start preparing my mind to do that, which the cleanse causes for you to not have certain things that you want. That's why I would recommend people to do the cleanse first, because when you're starting the cleanse, you cannot, number one, you cannot eat meat. So there is no meat on the cleanse. Number two, you cannot use the microwave because microwaves damage food cell structures. Number three, you cannot eat things that come out of cans because cans food is full of salts and preservatives and other chemicals that destroy your biochemistry. Number four, you cannot eat things that are not approved. So there's no hybrids and there's no non-seeded fruits. So just by those things, that's stripping away there. And obviously there's no breads, there's no sugars, there's none of that stuff because all of that stuff is poison. Unfortunately, I know it's delicious and we love the way it tastes, but it's all poison. So if you can prep your mind to get ready to do something like that, that's going to make you uncomfortable and snatch away all the chemically induced things that cause you to be fervent in this particular addiction. So that's the first thing that I did.
Okay, now let me rewind a little, just a little bit. Now, didn't you get sick twice?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just say that Chad got sick once in 2021. This is not Chad, like he already said. This wasn't his first time taking that cleanse. He had already took the cleanse. Okay, so you got sick the first time in 2021. You had notice of weight loss. Okay, then you had already tried to slow down a little bit with your eating, so you wasn't trying to eat that much throughout the week. Your thing was probably mostly the weekends or something, or I don't know, like dinner. Like you wouldn't eat for lunch. I think that's what it was.
I would eat one meal. One big
Okay,
meal.
right. One big meal a day. Now, I felt like even though it was that one meal, because this is when I was cooking your meals, because right now I'm not cooking Chad's food anymore. Chad cooks and preps his own food, but at the time I was cooking the dinner. I felt like that them portions was too big. Now, the reason why I felt like it was too big is because you wasn't active, so after work, and then it's not like you were doing a whole lot at work, like you're moving around, because you do chemist work. So, so you're pretty much standing in one place, like putting chemicals or whatever the hell you be doing. Like that's what you're doing. But I felt like at dinner time when I was making the dinner, I felt like that your portions was too big, and it's not like you were doing anything after that. So then you're like sitting there, you're going to sleep. So then that weight, is just adding on, whatever. And then on the weekends, you would still have like sometimes your little things. But whatever the case was, you still was not happy with your weight. Then at a certain point, you started doing kickboxing. And then when you did this kickboxing, you didn't do like one day or do 2 or 3 days. You did 5 days a week, and you were going hardcore with that 5 days a week. And you were dropping a little weight, but I can still see the frustration in you because you was looking like,
I didn't understand.
right. You was like, but I don't get it. Like I'm sitting up here going in hard 5 days a week. And that was the most activity I had seen you doing. I mean, probably damn near the whole time that we were together at that time. Really being consistent with that 5 days a week, because I couldn't get you to go to the gym. So it's not like you was going to the gym with me. I was going to the gym, and kickboxing had became your thing. But I seen that you were still frustrated because you felt like the weight was not coming off. But even with that being said, you were still trying not to eat at work. Like you said, do your 1 meals a day. You were still trying to figure out about food. You still had your, because you wasn't snacking hard. Chad wasn't eating chocolate and all of that stuff. The only thing Chad had was he had fruit waters that he used to like.
So the ice fruit waters.
Yes, them ice fruit waters. And then Chad would look at it and be like, see, you don't got no sugar in it. And it don't got no whatever in it. And then your other snack was you would eat them granola bars.
Yep.
Yes.
The Nature Valley with the caramel.
Nature Valley granola
with
bars,
the cashews, and the little cashew cream at the bottom.
Nature Valley cashew granola bars.
Yes.
So Chad was like, "Look, this is the only thing I'm snacking on. It's not like I'm sitting up here eating cheese cakes and all of this. It's just the granola bars." Now I had felt at that time that even though it was just the granola bars, I noticed that you were eating a few granola bars.
I was knocking them back.
Right. He said he was knocking them back.
Probably like, maybe 5, 6 of them. And then, they're like 180, 200 calories a piece. So, you eat 1 or 2. And it's like, oh, that tastes good.
Right.
Then you grab another. It's like, this is just granola bars. And I'm overdosing on it.
So even though Chad was only eating 1 meal a day, and then he wasn't drinking juices and pops. I mean, there was sometimes that we would have pops. Every now and then we would get some restaurant food, but we wasn't sitting up there buying restaurant food and stuff all the time, eating out and stuff all the time. Your thing that you used to like on the weekend, because weekends are always cheat time. Yeah. So Chad would love his pizzas. Yeah. Pizzas on the weekend, and Chad would, but Chad wasn't buying no Little Caesars and stuff pizza. Chad was going to buy, what pizza was you buying?
So I would get a regular cheese Red Baron because I don't eat pork.
A Red Baron pizza, just a cheese pizza.
Even at this time, I already by default am not really big into red meat. So I think the last time I probably had a steak maybe a couple years ago, maybe a year plus.
Right.
I don't eat red meat. I don't really eat ground beef. So at that time, I was thinking that the healthier meats was ground turkey. So we would do a lot of ground turkey. And I don't eat seafood at all, just because of my belief system and stuff like that. So I don't eat seafood. No, I take that back. Sometimes I would have catfish every now and then because I love fried catfish. But at that time, I was just eating ground turkey, catfish like maybe once every few months, and pretty much chicken. And I don't really even eat red meat. So, and then sodas, I drink soda maybe once a month or once every few months. So even at that time, before I got even more redefined and more disciplined that I am now, at that time, I wasn't going haywire or crazy. I was indulging in things that I thought was healthier options. And still, those healthier options are mixed with all those chemicals, additives, and preservatives, and it does not assimilate in your biochemistry, which makes it incompatible, which fights against you trying to lose weight.
Absolute mundo. Absolute mundo. So I'm just trying to give the people a little backstory
Okay.
on what you were struggling with and
Yes.
what your struggles was looking like. Okay, so now you are just drinking the waters, eating one time a day,
Mhm.
probably snack, having your granola bars
Yep.
and your pistachios, right?
Oh,
You used to
yeah.
love your
Yeah.
pistachios, and then try to have your little cheat time on the weekends, whatever.
Mhm.
And so at this time you had stopped doing the kickboxing. You had
Yeah.
stopped because I think you did the kickboxing for what, like 3 months?
About 4 or 5
About
months.
4 I'm telling
4 or
you,
5
people,
months.
5 days a week. Like, Chad was not playing, but even with that, like I said, he still did not feel. He still was very frustrated because he felt like he should have lost way more weight than that. Okay, so then that's kind of just how things went, and then all of a sudden you got sick again. What was it, last
That
year?
was the end of January of this year,
Okay,
25.
this year you got sick again,
Sick again.
and then what? Did you lose some weight, right? Because I
Yeah.
forgot how that sickness looked and what
So
happened.
so this was like some rudimentary version of a residual COVID or Corona that had mutated again, and it was a mutation of Omicron, a lesser version of Omicron. All these names, I don't know what it was. It's probably something that they put together and sprayed in the air. But yeah, I ended up catching that, and the Most High blessed me, and He allowed me to get sick because He knew how I was going to take that sickness and carry it out to where I am now. So it was the end of January of this year, and I was sick again, where it wasn't excessively bad, where I was just, but I did, some throwing up. It was, a lot of bowel movements, some controllable, some kind of uncontrollable. I had resentment towards food because it was the Most High allowed it to be in my system where food was like repulsive. So I was repulsed by the smell of food, and because it was just, my stomach was unsettled, felt an unsettled stomach like 100% of the day. So like my escape was to go to sleep, and then I'm shivering. Actually, now that I'm talking about this, I'm getting a stronger memory because I remember being running to the shower 1,000 times a day and just trying to get
Oh,
warm
okay, yeah, I
because I
remember.
was shivering and then I had heart palpitations. My heart kept skipping beats and skipping beats, and it was so annoying because I couldn't even get a regular heartbeat. Like my heart just kept skipping around and fluttering and stuff, and I'm freezing, and my back has got chills in it, and I don't want. I'm completely repulsed by food. I don't want to touch no food. I don't even want to smell food. I got a monstrous headache. My head is throbbing. There's pressure against my eyes, and I just remember running to the stomach and just doing a lot of praying, being like, God, can I please, Most High, just get some sleep? Because my heart is fluttering around so much, I can't even go to sleep. I can't even go to sleep. So then it made me think about like how blessed it is to have peaceful rest, because I instantly remembered at that time, like, I remember how it used to be when I could just close my eyes and go to sleep. Now I don't even have that. I can't even sleep. And I just remember, being in the closet, being in the bathroom, being in the bedroom, being downstairs and just praying and shivering, and heart was fluttering and all that stuff. And then so when the Most High allowed that to pass, I had developed a new relationship with food because I didn't even really want food anymore. So of course, as I began to get, further away from the sickness, I started to get hungry again. But Geneva, remember when I was talking to you, I was like, man, I don't even really want to eat food the same way I used to eat it.
Okay, now what month was this? What was this? Was this
This was
still in
this
January?
was the end
Okay.
this was into February.
Okay.
So now I'm healing. I'm getting a little bit better, stronger, because this sickness probably lasted like 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
Probably 3 weeks before I was ready to start eating again.
Mm.
And then we talked about, I was like, man, I don't want any food with any chemicals or any additives or any, and it just made me like really, really hone in on like these ingredients. And I had been a part of this science field this whole entire time, so it's not anything that I wasn't privy to. But the fact that it's like the Most High unlocked a new level of perception, and really allowed me to see the reality and the contrast of how I eat this food and how the food plays in action in my body, and then what happens when I discard this food or don't utilize it. And in that sickness, I felt almost reinvigorated because as you're not putting things into the body, your universe, So Geneva, make sure you put a bookmark on where I'm at.
Okay, now where you at?
Because I wanna like take a time to go like kind of deep into something.
Okay,
And
now
I
where do
keep
you want me
saying,
to come back to?
come back to I'm just getting off of the
Okay,
sickness,
just getting done. Okay,
and I'm talking about the food that I don't want to. I don't want to use chemicals. I don't want chemicals in my food. I
okay,
don't want to, all these preservative additives. I want to make better decisions, better
okay,
choices with food. And I'm really like, getting more discernment and understanding for that.
okay.
So I want to take a few minutes
Go on here. Do
to
what you gotta do.
really do some framework with how intricate and how blessed this body is that the Most High has given us.
Let them know.
So this body is a home for your soul. The Most High has given us this body to live inside. So we are living inside of this body. Us, the metaphysical us, is living in this vessel that we have. The vessel comes pre-programmed with 30 to 40 trillion cells. Now, these cells are small individual microscopic families that are programmed to work for you under all costs, under all conditions. They are programmed with one conscious effort to make sure that they keep this universe, which you to them are their universe. They live inside you and you are their planet. And when we put these chemicals inside our body, you stress out the only microorganisms. So I'm going to call them people, individuals, beings that work for you, that help you on a day-to-day basis, that you don't even have to talk to. You don't have to tell them nothing. They are automatically programmed to love you, to love where they live at, and to save their neighborhood and their world no matter what. They will do whatever it takes. They will adapt. They will mutate. They will survive. If you put your body under conditions that is biochemically incompatible, your cells will say, you know what, we're about to adapt. We're going to mutate because this person is refusing to give us adequate water. This person is refusing our universe, our God, so to speak, because obviously these microorganisms know that they were programmed from the Most High, but you are like you're their commander. You are their higher echelon. You're like almost a God, not the Most High, but a God to them. So they're like our leader or our person that's in charge refuses to give us adequate food, which is food on a cellular level that they can use, adequate fluids to do their job. So we expect our body to perform, our organs to perform, our hormones to perform, our chemicals, our chemistry to perform, and we don't even know that we don't give the body anything that it needs to perform. But it still loves you and it will still perform. It will mutate into something different in order to allow itself to still live. That's what's happening in the background. So when we eat foods that are cancer causing, which is all the chemicals and preservatives that is added into the food to make it shelf stable, to allow it to have the right textures, to use all these different emulsifiers and all these different chemical attributes that change the dynamics, that change the dichotomy, that changes the program and the code to the food, and we ingest it, you put your whole universe at a fritz. You know what I mean? It's just like having an earthquake for human beings. If you were a human being and you were subject to earthquakes every day, how would you live? You would live in a state of fear and turmoil all the time. How do you think that that would respond to you scientifically? How do you think that would respond to you psychologically? How do you think that would respond to you emotionally if you had to live under trepidation and fear 100% of the time because there's always earthquakes? You couldn't even live. You couldn't even have a regular life like that. So this is what we do to our universe. All these chemicals in these food, it does nothing for your body. And what happens when the chemistry does not match? When the biochemical food comes in and it's biochemically, and when I say biochemically, I just mean what's compatible to the body. The body uses minerals. These foods that are genetically and chemically augmented and altered, so they don't match. So what your body does is when you ingest these foods, The body says, okay, we can't do anything with this programming. These codes are off. So yes, you can still eat it, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this and stick it into the soft muscle tissue fibers and keep it out of the bloodstream so that we avoid toxicity. Because if we allow these unfamiliar biochemical mechanisms to run throughout the bloodstream, then we're going to end up killing our universe. So then you have cells that work hard to make sure all of this stuff is removed, and it tucks it into the soft tissues. It's the same as like instead of cleaning your house, all you do is sweep up all the trash and put it underneath stuff. It's like an episode of Hoarders. You do it small, and then over time it gets worse where you're not even cleaning stuff. You're just putting it in other places in the house. Nothing is going out to the dumpster. You get garbage, you don't clean it, you just sweep it into a corner. At some point in time, the house is condemned. It's like a hoarder house, and now the functionality of the house is lost because there is no organization. It's over. So what the cells do is you make them work so hard to try to figure out and fix stuff that they start to die off because they don't have any food anyway. You're never giving them anything that's positive. You never give them anything that's cellular food. And these cells have families. They have families. They have communities. They have different systems that they operate. So when you are eating food that is not compatible, you stress out your systems, and that does heavy damage to your filtering systems, your filtering organs, which again is your kidney, your liver, your pancreas, stuff like that. And then also in addition, there's so much bad information on fruits and herbs and stuff like that. For instance, I'll give you one for instance, is that people that are diabetics believe that if they eat fruits, that it will spike their blood sugar, which is completely and profoundly untrue. Because what happens when you eat fruit is fructose sugar. It's not glucose. So this is what happens. If I eat a Snickers bar, the Snickers bar is going to spike my blood sugar and cause the pancreas to release insulin to combat all the radical sugars that's throughout the body, which then causes the pancreas to work hard to combat all the sugar in the bloodstream, complicating your chemistry. What fruit is fructose. Because it has a whole different metabolic pathway, the sugars that come off of fruits do not alarm the pancreas. It is the liver. Your liver metabolizes fructose. It doesn't even hit the pancreas because the pancreas doesn't need to be active. You think the Most High would do that to you? You think the Most High would allow there to be fruits that he created that would be destructive to you? But there's no reason for doctors to say this. And I'm not saying maybe some of them don't know, maybe they do know. I don't know. But I'm just here to tell you the truth that that's the science behind it. Now, what is the situation where it could be different? If the kidneys or the liver is not optimized and the liver is over processed and it is not functioning, then when you eat fruit, if you don't have a functioning liver or a liver that is not optimized, then by default, the pancreas has to kick in and say, okay, I'll do the work. I'll do the work for the fruit and I'll have to metabolize. So now I do have to release insulin. But the doctors, instead of telling you you need to cleanse, you need to purify your organs, you need to stop putting bad chemistry into it, they will just give you medication. And the medication will just keep the liver doing all of this work instead of giving the pancreas all of this work, creating insulin to combat it, that it will overwork your filtering organs. And then this is what causes damage. It's like running the air conditioner on a car when it's 120 degrees all day long and never turning the car off. You didn't park the car and got out the car, you at home and the car is still on with the AC blowing cold and it's 110 degrees. And you done left the car out there all night. And then you come back in the morning and drive the car and it's been on all night running AC and it's 110. At some point, the car is going to give out prematurely because you're overworking it. You're stressing all of your internal organs. And that's why I say it is not the working out. Working out is a necessary for training muscle fibers and tissues, but eating appropriately and fasting is what optimizes and heals the organs. So I just wanted to clarify that this mini universe that's within you relies on you, needs you, depends on you to notice it and know that it's trying to work for you. And can you please give me some adequate chemistry that I can use to heal us? I done killed off a whole bunch of cells because we have cancerous cells, which is a culmination, a group of a whole bunch of cells that died. Now other cells are coming around trying to mask it off and tuck it into the corner and put a blanket on top of it so that the body can continue. But then a whole bunch of dead cells does what? You got a whole bunch of cellular waste in your body now. Because cells use the bathroom. Cells defecate. That's the whole thing of cellular waste. Cells have to use the bathroom just like you use the bathroom. Whatever you eat, that's what you gave to your cells to eat. So if you ate McDonald's, if you eat pizza with sausage and pepperoni, all that stuff, your cells are eating McDonald's, pizza, Burger King, Wendy's, sausage, pepperoni, zebra cakes, nutty bars, candy, Snickers, M&Ms. That's what. And how is that? How is your cell supposed to work for you? And you gave it very, very poor quality energy to run from, and nothing positive that it actually understands and it can work with.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that too, right? Because I want to give the people like a picture, because you're really good at these analogies. So I want to give the people a picture. But before we get into this question I was about to ask you, I do want to talk about what you just said as far as the diabetes and the fruit, because I remember having a conversation with you the other day, because this is how I always seen it too, that I thought too that fruit can spike, can do
Blood
something as
sugar.
far as the blood sugar with the people that's diabetic. And that went way back, I told you, to my grandma, because my grandma was a diabetic. I had went food shopping for her, and I had brought her, because she used to love canned peaches. So then I, brought her food. She ate the canned peaches, and I guess it spiked her sugar, and she had to go to the she had started throwing up the peaches, and she had to go to the hospital. So ever since that incident, and that had to been like in the 90s or the early 90s or whatever, I thought that sugar, I thought that a fruit could do something with your sugar, whatever. It wasn't until I talked to you and I had told you this story that happened with my grandma, and you was like, no, Geneva, it was because it was the canned peaches and then all that syrup and stuff that they put in there. That's what messed up her sugar. Like if she would have ate regular peaches, that wouldn't have been a problem. It was because it was the canned peaches. So with that being said, I want you to break down to the people so they can get a picture of eating the food, since you said that we got these, microorganisms or the things inside of our body that work for us. So then show us in our head, tell us, where does the food go? So my grandma ate the peaches. Where did the microorganisms store them peaches? Somebody go get them some Popeye's chicken. So then they eat the Popeye's chicken. Where does the microorganism store that? Like, where is that going in that? Is that giving you love handles? Is that what's making people fatter? So then the microorganisms, they're not eating the chicken. They're not eating the peaches. Right. Give us the visual on that.
So that would be, so then a person goes to Popeyes, gets 3-piece biscuits and a sweet tea.
Okay.
When you swallow that food is swallowed into programming. So to the body, it would look like the Matrix, where everything is ones and zeros. So a code gets released into the body. These cells read the code because everything in the body becomes molecular. When I say molecular, that means molecules. That's how the body reads information. So in every food, there's a molecular structure, which is nothing more than just its code is written out into the food itself. So when you eat a piece of chicken, it's written with all the ingredients molecularly that the cells can understand when you swallow it. So now you swallow and you eat the food. The cells read, they get a printout. You can say like a printout of information on what we just ate and what can we do with this. So the cells are waiting for something to come in that can benefit them. Now, if it benefits them, they can take it and distribute it throughout the bloodstream very, very quickly if your absorption is good. And the only way your absorption can be good is if you do that oil change. You got to do the transmission flush. You got to do the oil change. You got to do all of the coolant flush. All of that bad stuff needs to be flushed out for your body to be able to absorb. Because if it can't absorb, you can put the most wonderful stuff in your body and it won't recognize it because it's filthy, it's dirty. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's say that you have not done the cleanse, but then you're trying to eat healthy, and so then the molecules, or the whatever inside the body, they're reading it. What are they doing with it then? Since you're saying it can't really do anything because you haven't flushed out. So then where is the stuff going? So then that the people aren't noticing a weight loss okay, yeah.
So that would be indicative to you having a house. And you have a house that's been hoarded. You've been hoarding things in your house, trash, food, toys, clothes for 10, 15, 20 years. Then somebody comes over with a vacuum only and tries to clean up with a vacuum. This is the something good being put in there. This is something, a positive effort being in the midst of complete chaos. How are you going to clean up a house that's been hoarded for 10 years, 20 years, and I'm talking about clothes, boo-boo, you got ants, roaches, mold, debris, bacteria, animals that ran around and used the bathroom and stuff. That's what's going on inside your house. And if somebody come over with a vacuum, one person, and they think they're going to vacuum up some stuff, how do we expect the cells to then take the Popeyes, or not the Popeyes, but take an apple or some celery or a salad and distribute the salad throughout the bloodstream when you toxified, when you've been under toxicity, when you have stressed out your entire system by eating that food like that for that long? Your whole world is in distress. You haven't shown that world anything else. So everybody's under duress. And because the sun came out one day when it's been in complete darkness and been under scrutiny and a complete hell, now that the sun raised up, can anybody really trust that the sun is going to shine tomorrow? Let your bottom down. No. The whole community of your 30 to 40 trillion cells are scared as hell. They're paranoid. They're nervous. That's why you're releasing certain chemicals into the bloodstream. You're not even together. So you can't even begin to heal if the community is not working with you yet. You got to show your community that, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to change this. And they need to see the conditioning. They have to see, what's the word that we always use?
What's the word?
That means repetitious.
Consistent.
Exactly.
Okay, consistency.
Your environment needs to see consistently to start feeling more comfortable, meaning your cells, to let them know it's okay, like a wounded dog. Like you can't pick up a rescue dog the first time and be like, oh, it's okay, and then not think that he don't have no psychological issue. He don't trust you yet. He don't know because he's been treated bad for a long time. He's been abused and beat up and maliciously, kept. So it's going to take some time overall before your cells can say, okay, guys, this person seems to be, this is good. This is new management. You got a new manager, a new CEO, like something different is happening. Okay, we feel a lot better. Okay, you're introducing cellular food to us. Oh, you didn't flushed? Okay, you did an oil change. If we're talking about the car reference. Oh, okay, like you've done a cleanse. Oh, now you're doing a parasite cleanse. Oh, you're trying to help us. Guys, cells communicate with everybody. Guys, they're trying to help. Let's do the best that we can. Let's come out of a mode of just being afraid and just surviving because the cells are just trying to survive. Let's strictly just survive because this ain't no place to live. We cannot thrive and live comfortably and work on the stuff that we need to, and work on healing fibrosis, and work on healing, different joints, and work on healing, high blood pressures and glaucoma, work on restoring oxygen to the eyes because there's been issues with the eyes because of diabetes. We have all that power and awareness to do that, but we scared. I'm not going to go to work and I'm terrified that the place that I work at is going to collapse. So after time, and you showing the body the right things, bringing in cellular foods like, hey guys, we eat now. Now they bring out the white blood cells because your white blood cells was low. They were very, very low, excessively low. So then when intruders come in, remember, cells die. If you don't feed cells the proper food that they need in order to thrive and to live, they die. So now you got half of your workforce, they dead. And the other workforce, they scared. And they trying to just keep the body alive, which means you're not living, you're just surviving. Internally, there's a whole internal war in your universe that all these microorganisms, when you have to just to show how deep this thing is, when you need endorphins or you need serotonin, there's a protozoan that carries that emotion through your brain waves.
Endorphins and serotonin.
Yeah, those are chemicals. Those are mood enhancing chemicals.
Okay, mood enhancing chemicals. Okay.
And that protozoan will walk with that particular chemical and drop it into your chemistry for you. And then it hits your chemistry, and then now you feel that feeling. Those little microscopic cells and protozoans and organisms that we have that makes this whole thing work, they work for you. They will literally carry, like if you could visually see this, they'll carry that particular chemical for you and drop it into basically the melting pot of where all of your chemicals, where all your chemicals basically sit to disperse throughout your bloodstream, throughout your neural connections, throughout your neurotransmitters and synapses and stuff like that. They do that work for you.
Look, I got so many questions, because I was about to say, look, this about to turn into like a me and you conversation, like how we would normally talk, right? Because I'm like, okay, right? Because I'm just thinking about what you're saying about your analogy about the house, so the house is really dirty, the stuff is everywhere, then somebody try to come over with just a vacuum to clean the house. So I'm thinking, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So are you, because the cleanse, let me try to get my thoughts and stuff together. There's a lot of thoughts running through my mind. So basically, are you trying, because I remember you telling me that because I was at 150 and I felt like that I wanted to lose weight. So then I started losing my weight, whatever, and then I got down. You said, Geneva, if you was to take this cleanse, because I didn't take a cleanse, but you said, Geneva, if you was to take the cleanse, you would lose even more weight. That's what you told me. So now I'm thinking based on your analogy. So are you saying that the bigger a person is the more junk that they have in their home? So that's why it's just that important that they take that cleanse. So I'm trying to think that maybe, like, not to say that I didn't have to take a cleanse, but are we saying that maybe that I have gook inside me, but I don't have as much gook where like this cleanse was as important as someone that's heavier, that have more gook and junk inside them that needs to really take this cleanse to kind of purify stuff, you get, whatever stuff, so then you can start over again and start.
See, that's a really good question.
Right, that's what I'm trying to figure. Okay,
not necessarily.
Okay, good.
Not necessarily, because there are people that work out every day and they're in shape, but their organs are not optimized. And then there's people that could be holding more waste. That's what we call weight. It's actually waste, because it's a culmination of a lot of different things where the body is tucking. It's tucking trash in different places. You know what I'm saying? So when the body is taking things that don't that's not biochemically compatible, it'll stick it in soft muscle tissues. And if you keep stuffing things underneath the rug, eventually the rug gonna raise up and get higher and higher and higher. And this is AKA fat. So the fat is really all the chemicals and stuff that's not registering to your body, but the body don't have nowhere else to put it.
Okay, so is the fat the French fries?
Yes.
The fat is the bread. The fat is the candy.
The chemicals.
It's the chemicals
that it's made with, because remember, the body needs everything.
So you eat the French fries. So you eat the fry, and then the body does what? So then it takes the chemicals from it and store it in the fat.
Yes, because it's not compatible. The chemicals in which the bread was made out of, monosodium, ascorbic acid, tricalcium phosphate. All these things are made to give food textures and flavor. Like for instance, quick for instance.
No, go here.
If you make your own juice, like I'm now really big into juice and I love juicing. But for instance, if I make a watermelon juice and I put lemon in there and I put limes in there and I put other fruits, if you leave it to itself, it's going to separate, because the acid in lemons causes things to separate, the enzymes. So if you have a regular juice that is a fruit juice cocktail or made with 1% fruit juice, you got to think about what is that really saying? If it's 1% juice or 5% juice, what's the 95 or 99% of it then? Chemicals. Because real juice is going to separate
That's
because of
true.
the different fruit attributes that causes things to either to cleanse and to remove, to separate. And this is why they use stuff like emulsifiers. Emulsifiers bind things together chemically because they understand the biochemistry. They understand how to make things work together with science that it wouldn't naturally do. So that's why they put different preservatives in things, because real fruit juice don't last that long. You can have it in the refrigerator maybe like 3 or 4 days, or 5 days. After that, it's going to start being prone to bacteria. And why is it prone to bacteria? Because it's a living thing. So microorganisms want to naturally live inside of it and begin to eat off it because it's nurturing. When you see fruit that bugs and stuff don't want to eat, bugs are supposed to want to eat fruit. Caterpillars are supposed to eat leaves. Fruit flies and all the insects, ants and stuff, they want to eat fruit because they know it's something that's biochemically compatible. But they done poisoned everything to make it so that the ants and the bugs don't want it, and it's unedible. It's inedible to them, so they'll disregard it, they'll leave it alone. So ultimately, I say, if you really used real juice, it would separate different with the different fruit juice cocktails. When you have other juices that say made with natural flavors, I've been in the food industry. Natural flavors don't mean natural flavors. Natural flavors can be anything to getting the color from a bug, from having a percentage of natural flavors. Just like, remember, I was explaining to you in cheese. I used to work with a company, work with Mondelez, and did some of the formulations for like their cheese sauces and stuff like that. As long as you use most of the backgrounds and most of the formulas calls for at least to have 1% cheese. Now, when it says made with real cheese, technically it is made with real cheese, but it's only 1% of it that's real cheese. So if you eat something like Cheese Whiz, or you eat something like them singles and stuff like that, that's highly processed and highly refined. There's a small little piece of cheese in there, small amount of the formulation calls for cheese, and the rest of it's all science. So then when your body ingests this code, they get a printout of it, and they're like, I don't even know, guys, we got nothing again. They get excited because maybe they're thinking that, your chemistry and your microorganisms and your cells is like, we're about to get something good. And then it comes in, and then the manager looks at it and it's like, well, guys, nah, there's nothing good in here. So now you guys have to work even harder and starve and stuff all this bad stuff into the tissues. And then you stuff it more into the tissues, more waste and more waste and more waste and more waste, as we begin to eat all of these different foods and attribute all of this stuff to these keto diets. And all of these different diets, I'm going to tell you, all of these different diets, the Atkins diet, the keto diet, don't trust these things, because these are things that wants to make you codependent. Nobody knew about ketosis until the keto diet came out, right? The keto diet says, after eating these foods will put you in ketosis. Don't nobody even know what ketosis is.
Oh no.
Don't nobody know how to you're not getting an understanding with the food. So you have to be self-dependent on these companies to make the food for you and subscribe to them so that you can continue to your weight loss journey, quote unquote. But you don't have any data on how your specific body works and what is indicative to your biochemistry. So you didn't trust these people to make the meals, thinking that the meals are going to get you to where you want to get to, and ain't nobody cleansed before they start eating the keto meals, and you're still eating bad food. It's just lesser portion, because it's not that it's quality food; it's just lesser portion. So of course, if you're eating 4,000 calories unknowingly, you drop down to 2,000, there will be some weight loss, but it won't be organ optimization. It's not the weight that's going to keep you alive. It's how well your organs function. The better and the higher quality of organ functionality means the longer, healthier life. The better your workers are optimized, that means that they can work on fixing stuff. That's why there's nothing on planet Earth that is stronger than fasting. Nothing. There is nothing that is stronger than fasting, because fasting allows a condition for your body to be able to start to heal and repair itself. Throughout the fasting, you do need minerals, not vitamins, but minerals. Why minerals? Because the body's comprised of minerals. When you are deficient and they say, oh, I'm tired, what did they say? You need more what?
Minerals.
Iron.
Oh,
You
iron
need more
deficiency.
iron.
Mm-hmm.
You need selenium. You need molybdenum. You need manganese. You need calcium. You need potassium. You need magnesium. You need copper. Selenium. I think I said selenium. You need all of these things are minerals. That's what the body is made out of, minerals. So when vitamins, they synthesize vitamins, and where you get the active ingredient is important. You know what I'm saying? So so that's why you have to have the minerals. So if you're fasting, you have to make sure that the body is getting minerals that it's been depleted of. The reason why we get sick more times than less is because the food contains no macro or micronutrients. The food, it's not food. Scientifically, the food that we eat in the Western world is not food. It's highly processed, highly refined, highly sweetened, full of chemicals, additives, acid, preservatives. You cannot eat that. You cannot eat boxed macaroni and cheese. That you can't eat that. You just can't. Now, I know that we want to eat it. We've been conditioned to, but you just can't.
Okay. Oh my. Okay. Now you told me to go. You said go back to. Yeah. Well, I guess we're going back to your story then. That how you just got better from your sickness, and then you didn't want to eat any foods with chemicals in it because you had started to want to make better choices. So this was after your sickness. So then you did what?
So, make a long story short, after the sickness, I started trying to make better food decisions, trying to say, okay, I paid attention to the chemicals. And because I'm a scientist, I wanted to see how how important food was. And I wanted to monitor myself every step of the way. So I would encourage people to weigh yourself all the time. I know that they say, oh, don't worry about the weight, don't worry about the scale, but I think completely polarizingly opposite. I think that you should weigh yourself after everything you eat because you need to have data points. You got to understand what the difference between water weight or food weight and fat weight. You know what I mean? So like if you got up in the morning and you weigh 200 pounds and then you drank 32 ounces of water for the day and you had a meal and now you weigh 208 or 207, that doesn't mean that you gained 7 pounds because that water will be absorbed. And if you don't understand the correlation and how these particular things works with your body, you would just think that, oh, okay, well, I'm not losing weight, it's not working for me, but it very well could be working for you. So after everything, like when you eat something, go weigh yourself right after to see what the difference is. So now you know where you was at, and now you know where you're at after that food. And then if you want to go walk, and that's all I suggest. I don't even think people for the first part of cleansing, don't even worry about going to the gym. Don't even worry about the gym. Worry about the gym later on. Because the gym does not heal organs. If the organs are not optimized and you're not taking care of flushing out your internals, which is your engine, you can wash your car, you can put rims on your car, new tires, you can clean the inside and vacuum the inside of the car. If you don't address the engine, all of that stuff doesn't make a difference. So don't worry about washing the car. Get your engine fixed. Fix them check engine lights first. All them lights that's on your dash, that's what needs to be addressed first. So that's what I did. I started systematically looking at how everything caused me to go up and go down in weight. And I started giving myself mental goalposts and checkpoints. So when I was coming through this whole system, January, February, I probably got some weight off of me. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start doing my kale salads. This is after I came off the cleanse.
Okay, so how much weight would you say at that time you had got off for you?
So by the time I finished the cleanse, I was probably somewhere around like maybe 302, 304, 305, something like that.
Okay, so when you finished the cleanse, you was like 302, 305, something like that. And then what did the cleanse consist of? What was it? Something you had to drink? Was it some pills?
Yeah, it was tonics.
Did you have to take it for a week, 2 weeks? What?
So the cleanse lasts about 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
And it's 3 tonics. It's the Bio Nourisher, it's the chelation, and the iron phosphate. to 3 different
So it's
tonics.
drinks.
Yeah, tonics.
Okay.
And it's repulsive.
It's
It is
nasty.
extraordinarily bitter. It's unlike, I can't even explain it to you. It's unlike anything you've ever tasted in life before. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just out of this world. You're not going to understand it. Your taste buds are not going to understand what it is, and you may have the urge to spit it out, like initially. So you might need to chase it or something.
Okay.
Because it's
Nasty.
It's like that. Yeah. But after the cleanse, so I started probably like 318. I do the cleanse. Cleanse lasts about 3.5 weeks. Throughout that time, I'm probably still eating my one meal, but I think I'm still doing like chicken and rice and stuff like that on certain days. And then on my other days, I'm eating my kale salads with cucumbers, tomato, avocado, red onions. And I found this really nice brie. It's called Brian's honey Dijon dressing. So that's what I'm making. I'm trying to make better decisions. At that time, I had let go of my fruit waters. I think I had let go of my granola bars. So all of my little side snacks that I thought was quote unquote healthy, I let them go. I was still doing my pistachios. I was still doing my honey roasted cashews because I'm big into that.
Right, and let me just say this: for Chad to let go of them fruit waters,
that was my go-to.
That was huge because you was like addicted to the fruit waters. Like if your fruit waters looked like it was about to end, you was right going back out there ordering. You was serious about them damn fruit waters. So for you to decide that you was not going to drink the fruit waters anymore, you was going to start drinking water. Like that was my first time really seeing you. Like, yeah, Geneva, I'm drinking me some water. Yeah. Like, what? You drinking some water? Yeah, go ahead.
So not only is this like a psychological journey, this is like a spiritual journey too. I'm really praying a lot and going to the Most High and then seeing certain results and thanking Him. And as I would say that the Most High has allowed me to be strong, in the mind with certain things and increasing my discipline after I achieve certain goals. But then again, I had fought with this for like 15, 18.
A long time.
The whole time I done fought with being overweight and hated it and stuff. And there's been times I've been a little bit smaller and bigger. I think I was 355 at my heaviest. But so yeah, at that time I'm doing that and I'm still eating meat. And then I get to a certain weight. I think I probably had first got underneath the 300s and was like, that was like huge for me. Like I'm 2 something. Wow, I haven't seen the 2s in a long, long time. So that was like, I was elated. I was pleased. I was happy. I was grateful because I hadn't seen that, and just breaking that marker from being in 3s and having my body to adjust to being that size for so long, and then to be back in the 2s just kind of showed me how far I came. And it was still 290 something. I was still 290 something, but I was grateful for that because I hadn't seen the 2s in a long time. So then I get to the 2s. And then I feel like kind of stagnant. It hadn't moved as quickly as it had when I was in the 3s. So then I said, okay, well, maybe I can eat meat once in a while throughout the week. And maybe I'll cut down on the meats and stuff like that. And then so I was like, okay, well, let me now just do my salads, and I won't do any meat because I used to take like 2 chicken thighs and cut it up, cut it up, and put it on the salad. On my kale salads.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm like, let me just use mushrooms or something like that. And then I'll eat on the opposite days, I'll eat like my chicken, my chicken tacos or something like that on the opposite days. And then, I saw more progression. I got into the low 90s, almost at 280 something. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, look at how much that's working. So I'm like, I wonder if I could take, now the thing is that my mindset, after I'm seeing these different achievements, these goals posts being met, is giving me more confidence. It's giving me more reassurance. And then also, in addition to that, everything that I eat, I'm weighing myself. I take a drink, a drink of juice. I'm weighing myself because I want to see every single, different attribute that's happening at every single different stage of what I'm eating, what I'm putting in my body, how long it's taking me to use the bathroom, and then I noticed throughout that time, I'm like, man, remember I told you, I'm like, I'm not using the bathroom as much as I should be, so I'm then paying attention. I'm like, why am I? And then this is even after the cleanse. I'm like, why am I eating I'm eating kale, I'm eating cucumbers, I'm eating red onions, I'm eating a salad, I'm not eating meat. Why am I not using the bathroom as much as I should be with all of these? And then it dawned on me, I'm like, the Once you've been depleted of minerals for so long, even though you start putting minerals in your body, you have to build up that tolerance. You have to build up your mineral reserves, because if you've been running on zero minerals and chemicals the whole time, it still takes time for your body to start to re-nourish and understand something different is happening. So now you have no reserves built up. So it's hard for the body to take the little minerals that now you've just introduced and then do a whole bunch of work off of it, because it's like, I don't even have any reserves. Like, we've been struggling the whole time. Now we, get a paycheck and we supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, go out and take care of the bills. Just because you got a paycheck after being broke so long, you still got to get a savings. You got to work yourself up to paying your bills, having some savings, which means you have to go extra hard and be extra disciplined, because now you're trying to build your savings account. Now you're trying to pay your bills just coming from a deficit. You've been homeless.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm like, why am I not using the bathroom as much? So I'm like, man, I'm deficient on all of the minerals that cause you to use the bathroom.
Wow.
Like, you took the cleanse and that cleared you out. That's fantastic. But now you got to start building up your reserves. And so I'm thinking, now I want to stick some good food into my body and want my cells to instantly respond and be like, oh, okay, we're just going to forget about the 20 plus years that you done treated us like trash. And we've been surviving for you. So maybe my cells had an attitude. They didn't want to hear that. They was like, well, you got to show me that you really going to take care of us, take care of our environment, for us to start, before we start relinquishing all this trust and really working for you. Because at this point, we're just trying to keep you alive. Since you don't care about being alive, we don't want to die, so we'll do it. But we're scarred from that. So show us something different. And then, just because overnight now you want to do something different, don't mean that we just in the mood now to just do everything that you asked to do and be fine with this. You've been treating me bad for over 10, 12, 15, 18, 20 years. And now you want to do something. Now you want me to just trust you and believe in you and just run throughout your body and do everything right. No, it doesn't work like that. So I'm like, why am I not using the bathroom like I'm supposed to? I'm like, I'm deficient. It's going to take some time. So then I really started to become intimate with understanding my microbiology, with understanding my biochemistry, with actually thinking about my cells, that they're in a place where I've kept them in a position where they were unable to do their job. And they've still been persevering and keeping me alive. And I haven't even really been doing anything for them. So once I became more like, I used that as the perspective in which I saw things. So now when I eat a piece of fruit, I consciously think about that. Like, these are things that my microorganisms, my cells, my chemistry needs. And I have to show them that your universe is okay. Like, I'm back in charge. I'm back in command. I have more understanding. The Most High is allowing me to see these things. I have better discernment, and I apologize to my body. I apologize. I felt so bad. And I know that may sound a certain way to people, but I felt horrible that I had treated the universe that's within me, that all they want to do is live collectively with their families and do their job. And I'm making their job so difficult and putting them under stress because I just want to eat what I want to eat, and I'm not giving them anything. And then they still love me so much that they're still going to protect me, even though I've abused them for decades. Who does that? Who can you abuse for decades and they still going to love you like they want and try to protect you and provide for you and make sure that you're okay? Because that's how the Most High programmed them. You got 30 to 40 trillion micro things inside of you that work for you no matter what. No matter what, even if you treat them the worst that you possibly could, they still love you. They will still work for you. So once I became more intimate with that understanding, once I became more reflective of that's what's happening in my body, I said, you know what? Most High, strengthen me. Please allow me to, and I pray that Most High, thank you for everything that you're doing, that you allow me to see. Like, I know that this is the time for me to move forward with this because you're showing me so many things. And then the discernment and understanding that I'm getting is way more than I ever have, which lets me know that the Most High said, this now is this time for you. So then I say, you know what? What if I just really discipline myself? What if I didn't eat no meat for 3 days? And then maybe I ate some salads, for the next 2 days. And then I'll eat whatever my stuff is for the weekend. And then I went from 2 days of fasting, just drinking a juice. Just drink because then I started juicing. And I was like, maybe I'll just eat fruit. Because at first it was just fruit. I'll just eat my water because I had watermelon, I had cherries, I had my seeded grapes and stuff like that, and and mangoes. Those was my go-tos.
Yeah, that's true.
So I said, you know what? Let me just eat fruit one time a day when I get home, and then I'll for the other 2 days I'll eat my salads with no meats, and then I'll try that. And then I started noticing more differences and more changes. I started moving from the 290s into the 280s, 285, 284, 287. There's still some fluctuate because when you drink, 22 ounces of juice or you eat a nice big piece of watermelon, that you go step on the scale, that could be another 2 pounds. But it's not the same 2 pounds. It's not 2 pounds of waste. It's 2 pounds of H3O2. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be absorbed into the body. So you just got to wait for the body to, release that, and then you'll be back to whatever weight that you were. So that's just temporary weight. So then I went from there and started seeing results. And I said, you know what? What if I just start fasting for the whole week and just eat one meal, and that one meal be fruit or juice? And then I said, now I'm really allowing my body to start fixing stuff. I'm sure I'm committing myself to my cells. I'm committing myself, to the Most High. I'm committing myself to reestablishing a better relationship with my body, and hoping that my body trusts me again, because I feel like I've wronged it, and this is why it has grown to what it has grown to. And it's like when I started to do that, I couldn't even keep weight on. Like it just started coming off. So the last few months, I went from 80s, 70s, 60s. So then when I got about the 70s, 270, 273, 274, I said, okay, now mind you, I'm 273, anywhere from 272 to 278. And I said, you know what? Let me start walking with Genevas. You know what I mean? Because I think I've been walking for almost 3 weeks, a month, just about.
Yep, about a month, a little over a month, I would say.
So now I'm just drinking juice, fruit juice. This is after the cleanse. Right now I'm finishing up my parasite cleanse with my GI tract cleanse, getting the parasites and stuff removed out. So now I'm going from that to now sometimes I drink juice. That'll be my meal, just the one juice. And I know this may be extreme for others, but this is a gradual. So I'm telling you the end result, or where I'm at now with the whole, gradual process since the end of July of this year. And I say, okay, well, let me just fast the whole week, and then either eat fruit when I get home, and that's watermelon or honeydew or cantaloupe or whatever it is. And then if I'm not doing that, then I'll juice, and I'll drink, probably like 24 ounces of juice when I get home, and then that'll be my meal. And then let me add in a couple of miles. And then when I did that, that's when I can drop 10 pounds, 12 pounds in a week.
Right. But before you even get to the walking part,
okay,
I just want to back up a little bit. When you said that you had decided, you know what, how about I don't eat meat all the time. I'll just eat meat sometimes. I think that when you had made that decision, that was the beginning of you really starting to change your relationship with food. Because prior to that, don't you remember back in Illinois when me and Maya had started our thing and we had stopped eating? You was like, Geneva, now I don't know about I don't know about not eating no meat. Like I gotta have, because just like most people, you feel like you gotta have the meat on the plate to fill you up. Like how you gonna just sit up there and eat vegetables and stuff every day, all the time? Like how you gonna get full? So I believe that when you did that, that was the beginning of you changing your relationship with food. So then that is true, because you wasn't juicing at the beginning. You were eating your mangoes, the seeded grapes, and then the watermelon, and you were standing on the scale all the time. And just like you said, because people be like, no, don't keep standing on the scale. Like, don't worry about what the numbers say. You just work on yourself. But now, because of you doing that, you got me doing that. Right. And then the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm really interested in seeing, just like you say, when you first get up in the morning, stand on the scale. So that's what I do. I stand on the scale and see what the number is. Then, you have a bowel movement, you use the bathroom, you do that, and you stand on the scale to see what that number is. Be like, so I lost 2 ounces. it's just information that you didn't have before. So then you drink something in the morning, you whatever, and then you stand on the scale, be like, so I drunk a little something that put on like another ounce or whatever. Okay. So then, well, this is later on. Later on, we start walking, you go for that walk, and then you come back in, you stand on the scale, be like, I walked 2-3 miles. That's 2 pounds that came off. Okay, well now I'm about to eat something. So then you eat something, stand back on the scale. You be like, woo! So now that done put on like 4 pounds. Now that I done ate that, so you like, oh, so eating that puts 3-4 pounds, and then you wait later on and you stand back on the scale after you done used the bathroom. I done pooped that out or peed that out. I done dropped 2 pounds. Right. And then you keep doing that. You see now what walking does for you, what eating does for you, what, like you sleeping through the night, you get up in the morning, where's your weight at? Okay. Okay. So that's what happened to my body while I was asleep. Stuff was coming off or happening when I was asleep that I didn't even know. Now I done pooped and peed, stand back on there. I mean, so it really gives you data of what's going on with your body. Different than when they say to don't stand on the scale that much and you don't know what's going on. So when I ate that, what did that do? When I drank that, what did that do? When I pee, when I boo-boo, like what did that do? Like you don't know because they're telling you not to. So even for me being at a smaller weight, I think that helps me out a lot to see what's going on. So to get back to your story, so yeah, you had changed your relationship with food. So all of this, I'm noticing now, so after, because yes, you was doing the mango and the grapes, and then you were eating a little meat, then you completely cut all the meat out. So now you're at work for them 8 hours. You're not eating nothing at work because you're not taking a lunch with you or nothing. So you are fasting while you at work. So the only time you ate is when you got home. And then at a certain point, when you got home, it wasn't dinner anymore. You was just doing your fruit and stuff. So you was coming at home just eating the watermelon or eating whatever. And I kid you not, people, every week, 2 weeks max, Chad was dropping to the next number. So if Chad was in the 90s, 1 week to 2 weeks later, Chad was in the 80s. 1 week to 2 weeks later, Chad was in the set. And I kid you not, that's exactly how it went. And right, because I was about to say something else about your weight thing. Yeah, but anyway, but I just so now we're incorporating the walking in it. The walk, right? Because you haven't even been walking that long. So I'm telling you, people, all of this weight dropping that Chad's been doing over a week or two, he was not going to the gym. Not a damn gym did he go to, and he wasn't walking. He just started walking, but this weight been coming off. So really, this was information for Chad and for me too to see. Is almost like Dr. Now on My 600-Pound Life when he was telling the people, it's the food. It's the food. You have to stop and slow down with the food, and that will cause you to lose the weight. And Chad tested that out. He literally tested that out. No gym, no kickboxing. He wasn't even walking. He was just going to work, not eating at work, coming home, only eating the fruits. That's it. And and then on the weekend is when you would eat some food.
The weekend was like my reward. But even in the weekend, I still take it. I'm still cognizant and conscious because you don't want to mess up 5 days of fasting with the weekend because the weight can come back real quick. And that's the thing with these weight loss shots and stuff like that. If you're not learning how to deal with your body specifically, and you're counting on a drug or a pill or a shot to go in there and block stuff, and then they just tell you to work out, again, you can be the most working out person with abs, a big chest, arms, shoulders, legs, and stuff, and still have terrible filtering organs and still pass away from a heart attack. I know people right now that are in fantastic shape, way better shape than I am, and they have cardiovascular issues. They have diabetes. They have glaucoma. They have gout. They have problems with their feet and their nerves and stuff like that. And they're in completely better shape. I'm on my way to getting in better shape, but they're actually fit, like can be on the front of Men's Health magazine. That's how good their bodies look, but they're still suffering from neuropathy and neurological issues, and they're suffering from pancreatitis, or they're suffering from osteoporosis or certain other things, which is just means you're mineral deficient in those things and you got to cleanse. So at that point, I am eating, so I do eat some stuff on the weekend, but I'm earning it. So like my thing on the weekend is I'm pretty much repetitive, very, very repetitious with what I'm eating on the weekend. I do boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I make tacos out of them. Now,
That's
the
it.
taco shells, I'll probably have white corn and some other things. That's probably not the best for sure, because I'm not making tortillas, but I have a lot of recipes, and I will start making a lot more things from scratch, and instead of eating things that are bought from the store. But I do not eat out, and again, this is specific to me. I don't even really want restaurant food because I already know it's packed with chemicals, and I've made so many advancements on my own. I don't really want to eat what they have, unless it's very very specific or it's like a one time thing. But yeah, so I only eat chicken thighs, and I have my chicken tacos, and I make my pico de gallo with tomatoes, avocados, red onions. I always use red onions because red onions have carbon. Yellow onions are hybrid, and jalapenos, and a little bit of sea salt and lime juice. That's my, and then yes, I have some cheese. And more times than less, and then I have coffee 2 days out of the week, which is Saturday and Sunday, and then I do have some donuts. I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
Okay, so
But
let's go through your food that you're eating right now. So
okay,
on Mondays you eat what?
on fruit. Monday is fruit or fruit juice.
Okay, so Monday you are juicing your fruit, so you either eating the fruit or drinking fruit juice.
Yes,
Tuesdays,
fruit juice or fruit.
so no food on
No,
Tuesdays.
fast.
Wednesday,
Fruit juice or fruit.
that's it on Wednesday.
Yes,
Thursday,
fruit juice or fruit.
okay, but what else do you do on Thursdays?
I meal prep for my weekends.
Right, so on Thursdays, Chad's still not eating, but he preps his food because he know Fridays.
Yeah,
Fridays he gonna be able to eat. So you prep your food on Thursday, but then on Friday you eat what?
I be having my tacos.
You have your chicken
My
tacos.
chicken tacos. Yep.
Okay, so
Or I might feel froggy and have a pizza. My pizza that I buy from the store, just a cheese pizza, and I put the turkey pepperoni on it. Even though I know it's got chemicals and stuff on there, but I put my turkey pepperoni on there. I put my cheese on there, my red onions on the pizza, and then the thing is though, I cut it in squares so I can feel like I'm getting more, and I only eat 4 pieces. 4 pieces, which would be equivalent to just half the pizza for the whole day. So one pizza will last me 2 days. One little store bought pizza. It's not even
That's
a big
true.
pizza. It's a small pizza.
A small red baron
A small
pizza.
red baron pizza, just cheese, and then I add a little bit more cheese. I add the turkey pepperoni, and I add the red onions, and then I'll put little seasonings on it. But after I cut it in squares, I cut it in real small squares so I can have like 8 squares, but 8 squares is exactly 4 pieces of pizza. So I even mitigate with the pizza and the stuff that I'm eating wrong. I know that I'm eating wrong, and I minimize it to the best that I can so that I can still have something. But the 5 days throughout the week, my body's at a complete fasted state. So I spend way more time with nothing in my stomach, allowing my universe to work, fix things, and I can literally feel the difference. I had like little aches in my back and in my shins, and I had like little throbbing feelings in my feet every now and then. And all of that stuff is gone. Like the little ache in my side that I used to stretch my back out, like, wow, what's my back in the bottom left? And it could have been my kidney. You know what I mean? That it then went away. Like the little tingling every now and then, I used to have like little tingling in my feet that then went away. You know what I mean? I used to have like little bitty dark spots under my eyes, and then I
That's
used to
true.
always have real bad acne on my
Mhm.
nose. Like I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why, but I had acne on my nose that then went away.
Yeah,
My
your skin
skin is the
cleared up.
best that I've ever remembered it to be, even better than when I was a teenager. Even probably better than when I was in the military, and I was fit, but my organs probably wasn't optimized the best because we ate anything. But yeah, we're very fit because we're doing a lot of exercise, running around, running up mountains, running up hills, shooting and training, combat defense training, and knife training, all that stuff. It's going to keep you fit and in shape, carrying other people around a maze and stuff like that. But we ate good. I trained in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I was stationed in Fort Sam Houston, Texas. So they got good food there, and you can eat whatever you want to eat as much as you want to eat. So I wasn't not eating. I was eating everything that they had, but I also worked out a lot. But again, that dynamic doesn't cause you to be healthy. Just because you work out doesn't mean you're healthy. Plenty of people with chest, abs, and shoulders and big biceps die because of the organs. So I have my little stuff on the weekends. I get a certain amount. I know I only eat like one or no 2 donuts, and I'll be having a coffee in the morning on Saturday, and then I'll have 4 tacos. And then Sunday, I have a coffee in the morning, 2 donuts, and then I have 4 tacos. And that's it. That is it. No more, no less. And then Monday comes, it's on. Straight fasting throughout the whole week. And then now I've incorporated walking. So on Saturday, I usually do two a day. So my wife just left earlier to go. What did you do? You went to see the horses.
Right. Went to the barn with the horses.
So my wife went to the barn with the horses, and she's been super supportive this whole time. I mean, there's not a bigger cheerleader on earth than my wife. You know what I mean? Because she's seen the journey. She knows the struggle. She knows how uncomfortable I've been with my weight, my size, how it's been making me feel and stuff like that the whole time. How I didn't want to do certain things with it because I'm concerned about my weight. And I just felt like this is not me. The size that I am is not indicative to the person, the soul that I am. I felt like I never matched. Even when I was kickboxing, my kickboxing instructor was like, you're super athletic. He was like, it's like you don't belong in the body that you're in. He's like, so when you drop down, you're going to be able to bring the strength of that size and, so on and so forth. But my wife has been super, super supportive with this whole thing. And I couldn't thank her enough for all of her input and saying the tough things that was needed to say and stuff like that. And, was just was there for me. Never, ostracized me or made me feel a certain type of way. If anything, it was me feeling a certain type of way, but she always accepted me for how I was. And I never knew, she never said that it was an issue. It was me that made it an issue, because I was uncomfortable with myself. But nevertheless, after I got to that point, so I eat my little stuff, but then I just started. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So today, I already banged out 3.3 miles. I already did that this morning. When I get done with this, I'm gonna eat my 4 tacos and have my lemonade tea. So that'll probably put me up like 2-3 pounds because I lost 2-3 pounds this morning.
Yeah, all that.
So then after I eat that, I'm gonna let it digest a little bit, and I'm gonna go back and do another 3 miles. So that'll be 6.5, almost 7 miles today. And then Sunday, I might do a 2 a day. And that's to counteract. You know what I mean? The food that I'm eating that I know is not chemically compatible. So then Monday comes, I'm gonna still do my walking, but it'll probably just be 1 a day. But I'm just straight juice, straight watermelon or straight fruit juice, and nothing else. So if I gain 4 or 5 pounds, because that's the weight of the fruit, of the food, rather, it's not 5 pounds of fat, 6 pounds of fat, 7 pounds of fat. It's the chicken that I've eaten throughout the few days. So I know that'll be sitting on me. So then Monday comes around, I know I'm going to use the bathroom, all that's going to be gone. And then those next 4 or 5 days is going to be in a fasted state. And then I'm going to be walking 2 to 3 miles every day. So then by that time, just drinking, being at an extraordinary caloric deficit, that's when calories do kind of actually factor in. Technically, I'd be drinking maybe 100, 200 calories a day, and then burning 500, 600, 700 calories a day, and then fasted at a complete fasted state and not putting anything in my body. And my body I start liking the way that I feel with no food inside. I can feel things being repaired. Like I can literally feel things being fixed. And then when I come home, I can't wait to get to that juice because juicing is delicious. Like it's one of my favorite things now. As soon as I start sipping on that juice, I can feel like my body absorbing it and distributing it throughout my system, my blood work and whatnot. So like I'm just a lot more intimate and a lot more aware of what's happening in my body and then how my system is being affected. And now today at Friday, I weighed in. I was 257.3.
For real, that's what it said.
Yeah.
You in the 50s?
Yeah, I told
what
you.
The hell? I didn't even know you was in the 50s. See, that's what I'm talking about. Because I feel like we was just talking. I could have sworn you said you was at 260 something. So now you already in the 50s.
I know it's kind of like blurry.
Yeah, I see it. 257.2. Yeah. Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like you literally you just made it to the 60s and now you already in the 50s. So then that means that this week will definitely be the 50s. And then your goal weight is what? So you're trying to get to what, basically?
So I'll probably be 240.
Matter of fact, you said 250. So we done actually made it to the number that you said that. Well, congratulations, Che. I'm just not realizing it. You said that you wanted to get to the 50s because you said that when you got to the 50s, then you would start going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but damn, so you about to be in the 40s soon.
Well, I just made it to the 50, so
I
I'll
mean, but
fluctuate like
it ain't gonna be too long.
I'll
A week
probably
or
get up to
two, you're gonna be in the
263,
40s.
264 when I eat.
The
And by the
hell?
time I come off the weekend Monday, I could be like 263, 264, 265, something like that by the time Monday hits. But yeah,
Man, that
and then
weight
I'll
has came off.
work my way into the 50s.
I'm telling. I mean, like the whole thing. Okay. So my question to you is: so you said that when you, so now I guess when you get to the 40s, because you're gonna be there soon, then you're gonna start going to the gym. So are you still going to be fasting 5 days a week, or are you, or when, or like, what are you gonna do then?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
So now when I'm going to the gym, because I'll be used to my body being in a fasted state, I still don't want to incorporate meat on the weekdays. I think that that's just how I'm going to be as a person now,
Mm-hmm.
because I love how my body feels and how my stomach stays flat. And even losing all of this weight, there's still, the Most High has allowed for me to not have like saggy skin,
Right.
or
Let the
skin
people
that's
know about
hanging
that.
and stuff like that, because I'm not only am I keeping aware of all these different data points, I have it a certain way where I stay within a 10-pound range for a certain amount of time, so that it gives my body time to adjust and my skin time to adjust. I believe, it is my belief, fervent and unequivocally, that if you move too fast throughout the weights, that there is a chance, I think it's a probability that you can have hanging skin if it's too abrupt, it's too excessive, i.e. gastric bypass surgery. And of course, now true enough, these people are excessive, it's 5, 6, 700 pounds. So like, yeah, but losing 100 pounds in like 2 or 3 months is a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 months. Like I didn't lost 70 pounds in like 6, 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's 10 pounds, you know what I mean, a month. But for someone to lose 150 or 200 pounds in like 2 to 3 months, that's very, very, very excessive. You know what I mean? And then also it just works by you cutting the stomach and the ability for you to hold the food, so you just full off default. Like you can't eat when you wanted to eat. But really, it doesn't teach you necessarily better food options. It just portion controls you, because some people have issues with their portion control. So yeah, like the Most High has allowed for me to not have saggy or hanging skin. So now, once my body is rejuvenated after this parasite cleanse, I'm going to address my lungs. I'm gonna drink tea, herbal tea that reinvigorates and revitalizes my lungs, and then I'll get to my filtering organs. I'm gonna take another cleanse that deals with the kidneys and the liver in specific. And then once those are done, I will have reinvigorated and revitalized my entire filtering organ system, and addressed all of the systems. And then the last thing would be neurotransmitters. So like, the nervous system. And that's where you got to engage, like, the lymphs and stuff like that. Jump roping, it's good to move the lymphs because they don't have their own propulsion or whatnot. And so I'm going to address the nervous system. And once that's done, I did a complete overhaul in my body. So I took a car that was beat up, that was rusted, that wasn't in good condition, and I systematically, through the Most High and His infinite wisdom, and Him allowing me the strength, the will, and the discernment and determination to do this, would have replaced the engine, would have addressed rust spots, would have addressed issues in the suspension, would have addressed the tires and wheels and axles, would have fixed the interior. We have put in new seats and stuff like all of these issues. If I'm making that reference between a human being and a car, all of that stuff will be fixed. Now, the last thing, when I'm done with all that, now we're going to get it painted. And getting it painted and putting the gloss coat and putting all the wheels and stuff, that's making it look good.
That's
Come on,
with
you see where I'm going. You see it.
You done told the people.
You see it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then but the thing about what you said about the no hanging skin, I didn't even realize that until a certain point. I had looked at your stomach. I was like, what the hell? His stomach done went all, like your stomach is like practically flat. And but your stomach was bigger, of course, at first, and there's no hanging skin. And you know how people be doing the drastic weight loss. Not only do they have a hanging skin, but for some reason they start looking older, like their face starts sagging. You ain't got none of that. Your face still look the same. And like you said, your skin done cleared up. Right? Because you did have like little dark parts like under your
Mhm.
eyes and like on your cheeks, and you
Yeah.
always complained about your nose. Like, I don't know why my nose always breaking out my nose, and the whole thing done cleared up. So that's how you know that that's all with the Most High, and that all has to do with you being disciplined, because you have to totally discipline
Mhm.
yourself. The Most High working with you, and like, and then just all natural. You didn't have to go get no shots. Feel like you had to overwork yourself going to the gym and stuff. It's just been all
Yeah.
natural, taking your time, and by you taking your time and doing it this way, it came off fast.
Yeah, it
It
did.
really did come off fast, because now by you being in your 50s, technically you done lost how much weight then?
I've officially dropped down 100.
You done lost 100 pounds in what? Like, didn't you really technically get started in, I guess, January, but start going full force in May?
Yeah, January of 25 is when it really kicked in, and then completely going in all the way full throttle, where I stopped eating anything and fasting throughout the week and
Mm-hmm.
just eating, my meat or whatever, my chicken on the weekend. That was probably like 3 months. Yeah, about May.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
May,
Yeah.
June, July, August, September. Yeah, you said yeah, so like May, June.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting for you to go to the gym, because I said that when you go
Oh,
to
it's
the gym,
over.
I'm going
It's
too.
over.
I'm
When I,
going.
based off of what I know
I'm
now
going.
and the understanding that I have for my body, now the Most High has allowed me to curate a template and a plan that I know works, that's irrefutable. So this is the thing, you apply this to anybody in their life. There is no way on earth that it's not going to work, because this is the right way to do it. It's not the only way, but it's the right way that yields the most positive benefits. Is we have to learn to come up off these chemically induced foods, and we have to learn how to eat appropriately. And so you asked me, you said, what am I going to do when I start going to the
Yes.
gym? So that the thing, I'm going to continue to not eat meat throughout the week, because I just like the way how I like how I feel. I feel like I'm always walking around light, that there's nothing in my GI tract, that there's nothing for me to have to like use the bathroom out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I feel airy in the inside, and gut health has to do with your personality and your mood anyway, by your gut. So I feel good in the morning. Like, I don't get headaches and stuff like that. A lot of issues and ailments that I had is clearing up, and I don't feel it anymore. Like, I just feel so much. I feel light and airy. And so now when I eat, I'll eat things probably like zucchini. I'll probably be eating cucumbers. I'll probably be eating quinoa. I'll probably be eating freekeh. I'll probably be eating um, eggplant, different things like that, and like the fresh salad with the cucumbers, the
Mm-hmm.
avocados,
The spring
the
salad.
tomatoes, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those type of things throughout the week, so I can have a little bit more nutrients especially if I'm going to be working out. But I do not want, like, the desire for me to be so codependent on meat. The Most High has allowed that to not be a thing that I have to fight with anymore. And I'm so
Okay.
grateful for that.
Now now I do kind of want to ask you that question, because I think that that's very important, for you to answer that, because we see the people, because my 600-pound life is one of
Mhm.
my favorite shows. They have a hard time. I mean, like, shoot, I can have a hard time of something that I'm used to eating, or a certain way that I'm used to being, and then to stop being that way and have to discipline myself too. So how did you, for someone who loved to eat and love your things and loved your portions of it, how did you mentally get to the point where now you're not eating on Mondays, Tuesday? I mean, Monday through Friday, Chad. Like, how do you do that? I mean, but because I'm still eating. It's not like that I'm sitting up here eating restaurant food and pieces and stuff in front of you. I'm not
Mhm.
doing all of that, but I'm still eating. And sometimes I would be like, Chad, you want some on Monday? You'd be like, nope, no, no. And I'm like, really? And you like, no, I won't none. I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, he really do. And then on Tuesday, you still not eating not a donut, not being like, well, you know what? Well, maybe I'll sneak and go in. I mean, so how did you do that? What was the discipline mentally?
That's such a good question.
What did you say? Because there are so
Um,
many people who's gonna want to give this a try, but they like, man,
How do you
can
get
I
from there
stop
to
eating
there?
that? Right. How do they get from there to here?
Yeah.
From here
Um,
to there? How?
the first part is the Most High allowed me to be a regimented person. I love regime. Um, Being a scientist, acquiring data and analyzing is always a thing. I'm always like pondering and wondering and seeing where I can put two things together and see if I can make this happen or not make this, so the discipline, once I get into a regime and I see I can follow a pattern over and over and over again. So the first thing is like when you see a result, you get hooked. Ultimately, that's what it is. That's what it is. And the first part is like being tired and being sick. So the Most High, He came in and He did that. That part, like the Most High knew that He knew me. He knows me. He knows my life path. He knows what I'm struggling with. He knows what I would prefer. So Him, the Creator allowing me to be sick was the best thing that had ever happened to me. Because in that sickness, I saw 10, 12, 15 pounds lose, go away. And it was easy. Like the sickness was hard because I was in here shivering, praying, heart was palpitating. I'm taking 1,000 hot showers because I'm freezing. I can't get warm. I'm throwing up. I'm boo-booing, like everything bad. And I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't even sleep.
I remember.
I couldn't sleep because my heart was bouncing all around and pausing and then beating up, speeding up real quick. So it was just the most uncomfortable thing. But in that situation, I wasn't focused on food. And the food became repulsive. The smell of food made me almost want to throw up. So it was like the psychological dichotomy between the food and not eating the food. You know what I mean? The relationship, the Most High was kind of like unbridging that, unhinging that, breaking chains for me, like psychologically in my relationship. So like I can't even take all the credit, be like, oh yeah, it was me. Like I did this. The Creator really, really, really came in and reset me. Now, with the pain that I suffered was through the sickness, but I came out on the other end 12, 15 pounds lighter. So I'm like, okay, I got to take this and do something with it. You know what I mean? It's like if a person in music then got an opportunity where somebody heard his music and they's like, you know what, you could do something with this. Like this music, like this is really good. And they're like a semi-important figure to you. And they heard your CD and they told you, come to the studio and come see me. And you know that they have the ability to sign a contract for you and put you into that field that you always wanted to be in. That's what I felt like. Like, man, this weight, like this is a big start. 15 pounds in 2 weeks. It was anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And I didn't even want food because I was so focused on trying to stay alive. You know, like my heart beating crazy and I'm freezing and stuff.
Right.
And then the smell of food is nauseating to me. And then seeing that much of a weight to go from like 320 something or whatever I was down to like 315, like 312, 350, that was huge. 15 pounds is a lot. And then I learned that just by not eating or giving your body time to recover and respond, that caused a world of difference. So then when I seen that, I was like, okay, let me see how far I can take this. And I want to specifically do this without working out. Not only because I didn't want to go to the gym, but because I didn't want to go to the gym and I didn't feel like working out, I was like, they've always said food is 80, 90%. Working out is 10. Let me see how far I can take just eating correctly or fasting or whatever. Let me take this through the stages that I can to see how far I can go with this. So that was the start. The Most High made me sick. And then I gathered from that, let me see if I can take this and make something out of it.
Okay, now let's say my sister said that she lost 20. My sister, she said she did a 21-day fast, and it included no meat. And she said she definitely noticed a difference internally. So what would you recommend for her if she's going through her weight loss journey and she told you that? So what would you say to her?
The first thing I would do is ascertain some data. You already know how I am. There's a lot of factors that I want to ask. I would have to look into. I want to know the 21-day fast. What did that consist of? What did that comprise of? What were you eating? What were you not eating? What throughout the fast did you cleanse? Because you have to do the cleanse before the fast. You know what I mean? And then while you're fasting or cleansing, you need to imbue your body with the minerals to help to assist all of those working organs to be optimized, and you have to feed them while you're fasting. So you don't just take stuff away from them, you have to put things into them while you're removing things from them. So if you're fasting for 21 days, I want to know like what it is that you ate, like were you cleansing? Did you do a cleanse within that? If you did, what type of cleanse was it? Who did you buy it from? What are the herbs that was used? Then I would want to know, like, as far as the water that you drink is important. So there's a whole thing with water. I studied, did a study of water for like 8 months. trying to find like living water, because all water is not created equal. So I know about the juice. Juicing is really, really important and stuff like that. But water's pretty important too. So I want to know how much water you're drinking, like what type of water are you drinking? Are you drinking purified? Are you drinking distilled? Are you drinking reverse osmosis water? Are you drinking spring water? If so, what spring water? Like what is the mineral composition? Is the water living? You know what I'm saying? What's the average pH level of the water? Like all of those things matter in the molecularly, biochemical wise, because the body is a program. So you just got to feed the body the programs and response in relationship to itself.
Right. And then I'm sure we want to know, like, how much did she lose in that 21 days too? Because she said she noticed something internally. So then she must be saying that maybe she felt more energized or something like that. Maybe she had more energy in addition to probably dropping some pounds. So you would recommend, so then you would probably say, well, if that worked that fast, then that's something that you might want to keep up at. But then here go a little bit extra to throw in that'll help you take that a little further.
Yeah, scientifically, I need to know all the details. All the details of the fast, the food that you ate, how much food did you eat, when are you eating? Is it more in a circadian rhythm are you eating? And that just means indicative to how the sun goes up and goes down, or are you eating, what's the last time that you eat food? How much time in between are you allowing food to process and digest?
She said that she said it included fasting from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. After 6 p.m., she only ate fruits and veggies, but I did not do a cleanse. She didn't do a cleanse, but she said this was a few years ago and she definitely lost weight. But she said at that particular time, she wasn't big on drinking water.
Okay. So that's not, if you're getting your water through fruits, it's fine. But what's interesting is with the body, the better you get the chemistry, the better the results are. So there's certain fruits, for instance, that do certain things. You don't want to mix the chemistry together. So like, for instance, you have grapes that are astringent and they pull stuff. You don't necessarily want to mix the grapes with a fruit that is a citrus fruit, because you put them together and the chemistry, the biochemical output is different. You don't want one fruit that pulls things and another fruit that uses enzymes and breaks things down. You know what I'm saying? So there's fruit, and the Most High have associated the fruits by color. And color is very, very important because it explains to us what part of the system. And I have a thing that I put together with fruits, herbs, and plants, and how it affects every stage of the body, like the nervous system, the gastrointestinal system, the bone system. Every different system I have down, like what herbs addresses that and what herbs function with that in particular. You know what I'm saying? So like, when you eat fruits, you want to eat the fruit by itself with fruits. You don't necessarily want the fruit to go with vegetables unless you make sure that the fruit that you're eating is in relationship with the vegetables. That's why there's a certain way to do it. That's why they use green fruits and green vegetables that all go together. You ever notice that? So like, if you're making a green juice, you're going to use cucumbers. You're going to use probably cilantro. You can use parsley. You can use kale. You can use celery. And then if you want to do fruits, you want to do fruits that's green with it. That's why they usually pair green apples with green fruits.
Right, because I was wondering why you told me to get green apples. Because I usually don't buy green apples. I buy red apples, right? So I'm talking about that we went food shopping and we brought a lot of fruits and vegetables and stuff because Chad likes to do his juicing. And I told him that I wanted, a little fruit, but I mostly wanted like a vegetable green juice or whatever. So for my green juice, we put watermelon in it. Because you said with one watermelon, you can make 2 gallons of juice.
So that the reason why I put the watermelon with it is because the watermelon is the most abundant as far as water. Watermelon is going to give you the most juice, but even though it is red, you could have used coconut water as your base, but we just use watermelon because we had watermelon.
Okay, so for my particular fruit juice that you made, or whatever juice you made me, it had watermelon, cucumbers, celery, limes, and green apples.
All stuff is green.
Okay. Yeah. And it really tastes good too. And then it's just like what you said, that it's separated inside the jug. It's separated, not like store bought fruit juice that is just all together.
Because it has emulsifiers in it.
Because it got them chemicals in it, but because you see that it's separated, so you got to take it and shake it up beforehand, and then take it and pour it in, and it tasted really good. Yeah. And then something else that I wanted to bring up too is me and you were talking about how a lot of people are basing when they buy food items and stuff, or their drinks or whatever, they're basing it off of the stuff that they be putting on the stuff. 0 grams of sugar. Yeah. It got something of carbs or whatever it be saying, and no one, right? And they try to get you with those words and have you just look at the front of stuff. They don't want you to take it and flip it around and look at them ingredients and see how much of the junk and just all of these extra ingredients. And that goes into my little story that then I'm going to tell about. Right, because I usually don't say nothing about my little weight loss thing, because people be like, oh, whatever, Geneva. Like, that wasn't really nothing. But for a while, you know, like my weight has always been like in the 140s, 130s. And I felt like that last year I had started gaining weight, and I felt like that I couldn't get the weight off. I was trying to figure out what was going on. I was going further and further up to 150, that I literally had got to 150, and I hadn't been 150 in a long time. And I'm going to the gym, and I'm thinking that I'm trying not to eat as much or whatever, and I just cannot figure out why this weight isn't going right. And I'm walking, I'm going up mountains and everything, and I could not get the weight off. And then I ended up going to Italy to go visit my daughter for 3 weeks. And then while I'm out there, and I'm out there eating pizza with cheese, and my daughter goes and she buys some bread. Now, this is different bread than what we have here in the States. It's a whole different type of bread, but I'm over there making sandwiches and, you know, just eating. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did I lose weight? I felt like I had lost weight, to the point that then when I came back and weighed myself, I had lost like 5-6 pounds. But then I'm thinking like, okay, so this has something to do with the chemicals and stuff that they're putting in the food. Something is different with what's going on with the food over here in Italy than over here in the United States. Because never could I have ever ate pizza, cheese, and bread in the United States without that causing me to gain weight. And I'm over there eating these things and then done lost the weight. So now I get back to the States, and now I want to make me some sandwiches, because now I'm used to eating sandwiches out there in Italy. So I go to the store and I'm like, you know what? Let me scan and look at all of these breads. So I started looking at the whole wheat bread, flipping it over and looking at the ingredients on it, and ingredients and stuff is reading like a bio. I go over to keto bread, because they say all keto stuff's supposed to be good. I'm looking at keto. Keto got a whole bio of ingredients, words that I don't even know what they talking about. So I say, you know what? Let me look at the tortillas, for God grief's sake. I will try to make a sandwich with tortillas if I have to. I look at the tortillas. Now, we all know that the Mexicans ain't doing nothing but mixing some flour and some salt and some water and whatever other little ingredients, but it should not be no 20, 30 ingredients. I go to the tortillas. You don't believe me? Y'all go to the store, look at the tortillas and the bread and the whole wheat bread and the keto bread. I flipped that tortilla over and it read like a bio. I said, okay, so our stuff is just bad over here. That's just what it is. It's just bad over here. And, you know, so now I ain't ate a sandwich since I've been back over here, because I can't, because the food is so bad. So that's when so that's when I noticed, or for me, it was like, okay, Geneva, you have to be careful with what you're eating over here, because they putting stuff in the food that is making us gain weight.
It's intentional too.
Yeah, intentional, right? Yeah. Because they literally over there, like, it's something in their cheese that's not bad. I mean, like, maybe they really getting it from the cows and the milk or whatever, and then making it and it really being cheese. I mean, you know, Chad, because y'all was making cheese.
Yeah, I used to work for Mounjaro, and I help with the formulations and stuff like that. And unfortunately, in the United States, everything is it's propagandized. Everything is propaganda. Everything is sickness, because, you know, the pharmaceutical companies make so much money. I've worked for pharmaceutical companies before, and they it's an incentive to make people sick because it makes so much money. I think in 2024, I think it's a company called GlaxoSmithKline reported that diabetes made them $240 million. I think they said diabetes was a really big seller. And then I really paid attention to the verbiage and how they make statements and declarations by saying diabetes netted over 200 and something $billion, let you know that the drugs that they make is only to address symptoms in which they're giving you. How do we know that it's intentional and that the country doesn't love you? Because if they make Apple Jacks or Fruit Loops and they send it to the United Kingdom or they send it to England or they send it to other countries, the ingredients that they use, and I'm pretty sure everybody has seen this all over the internet by now, but the ingredients are banned. So they have to use organic things and they have to use actual extracts from natural things in order to put it in the cereals because the other countries will not. And we're talking about Kellogg's. Just take Kellogg's. Kellogg's has a version of Apple Jacks and Fruit Loops that they give to the United States, which have all the sugars, all the preservatives, the yellow 5 and the red 40, the blue 5 and yellow 6, and all the other chemicals and additives in there that they give to your children that cause ADHD, that cause hypoglycemia, that causes ADD, that causes mental deformities, personality deformities, and all that other stuff, personality defects. But when Kellogg sends the cereal to England, they take all of that stuff out. That shows a true intention that your intention is to hurt and kill people because it makes you so much money. And as long as they can misinform you and tell you that, just pay attention to the calories. How is something sweet as hell, but it ain't no sugar in it? That don't even make sense. That's not even possible. How is it sweet, but there's no sugar? So, but the thing is they use verbiage. The United States is the place of legalese. It's the way that you talk to someone where you can spin webs and weave around them and telling them truths and not truths with the way that you speak. So it's like a spell. I believe that's what, we've all seen it online. That's why they call it spelling, because they're casting a spell on you. And when they say certain things, then they say, like I was saying before, made with real cheese. I used to help with the formulations. And there was a guy, the lead scientist was a Caucasian male that was from France. And he worked for Mondelez. Mondelez, is big with Kraft and all that stuff. That's the parent company is Mondelez. So it's interesting that they would have a Frenchman that actually lived in France and still spoke French. It's not like he was born in the U.S. He came from France and he was the lead scientist on the cheese. And I would talk to him and we would have conversations and I'd be like, so how much percentage of actual real cheese is in Cheese Whiz? He was like, oh, it only has to be 1%. He's like, as long as it's 1% cheese, we can say made with real cheese, but it's not 100% real cheese. It's only 1%. So the 99% is all chemicals and additives and starches and emulsifiers and different scientific things within it to keep it preserved, to make it that consistency. That's what emulsifiers do, to make it firm or it keeps bonds and stuff together instead of separating. That's the same thing with the fruit juice. When you turn over fruit juice and they say 5% juice, 10% juice, 1% juice, or then they get real clever. They say fruit juice cocktail. Fruit juice cocktail, if you look that up and you look up the CR codes, or you look at the you would have to get the book that the FDA uses, and the FDA has it all labeled in the different codes, like what these particular things mean. So when you say fruit juice cocktail, it's not real food. You shouldn't even be drinking that when they say fruit juice cocktail. Hawaiian punch, what you think that is? That's just straight sugar. Like there is no value in Hawaiian punch. But if you read it, you'll be like, oh, it's 120 calories, and then it might be 40 grams of sugar, and then it'll say extra 40 grams of additional included sugars, making it 80% sugars. And then certain people don't know what that means. They're like, oh, we're just going to grab it. Tampico, orange juice. Orange juice is horrible. When you see from concentrate, that's not, how many oranges it would take you to squeeze to make 1 carton of orange juice? Like 15 oranges. So you really think that these people are squeezing 15 real live oranges into every glass or carton of orange juice? All this stuff is hyper processed and mixed with other things because they have a concentrate, which means that they take a certain amount of oranges, genetically modified oranges, because oranges are not going to grow in certain conditions. So they have sped up, they have hacked into the genome code of the oranges, the molecular structure of the oranges, and then reprogrammed the oranges to grow under harsh conditions, to grow all the time, and to grow really, really big. Take a look at how big the lemons then got for no reason. Take a look at how big your onions then got. Take a look at how big the limes and every other fruit that was just regular size when we were younger. Now we go in the grocery store and it's huge. Look at the chicken wings. Like at one point, chicken wings used to be small. Now where are these huge, strong, swole birds that then came out and got these big buff wings, and these chickens that got huge chests and big old chicken breasts that they sell. And look how big the chicken breasts are. These are hyper steroided birds that they feed in steroids and injected with all these different chemicals to make them grow fast. That's why the legs is breaking. You ever open up a pack of chicken and it's legs in there and the legs is broken and you can see the veins in there
and the bruise marks,
right,
purple bruise.
Exactly. Yeah. Why you think the legs was broke? Because the chicken is too daggone heavy. It can't even support its own weight. So the legs, you get chicken legs from hella different chickens, because it's not like they're giving you each leg that come off of each chicken and you getting, like, if you got 16 legs, you got 8 different sets of chickens that's coming from those. That's why some legs be little, some be small, some be broken, some got the veins poking out, all different types of meat they giving you. So America uses food to cause you to be sick, then misinforms you so that you think that it's caloric based, so that you don't read the chemicals and the additives, so that your genes can mutate, and then they give you a quote unquote something to address the symptom that you never get a cure from. They're never going to cure you. And that's why everybody taking these GLP-1 shots and taking these Ozempic and stuff like that. And it's going to end up hurting people because they don't know the side effects of this stuff. And America ain't never tried to do nothing good for nobody. They never tried to do anything that I know of that was altruistic and really had the people in mind when they did this. If they have the same mentality and the same intention to give your children poison cereal and sugar, and then they change it to send somewhere else because another country said we're not about to deal with that, when you could just give us the better cereal. Should no kid be eating no breakfast? You think a balanced breakfast is a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, straight sugar, with 2 Pop-Tarts on the side, straight sugar, and then a glass of orange juice that's fake oranges and genetically modified oranges and straight sugar, and a glass of milk that's been highly processed and pasteurized and steamed for you to be drinking, and then 2 pieces of bread and butter, and that's part of your complete breakfast? That's why our children got mental deficiencies, mental disorders. That's why they can't focus in school. That's why they got cavities. That's why they be having ADHD. So then their child has ADHD and mental deficiencies and disorders and personality defects, and they hook your child onto a drug, a personality drug that mellows him out, and then the child want to kill himself. Because remember, all of their different remedies and drugs come with the main side effect be thoughts of suicide. Tell me why, whenever you have a drug remedy, that the first side effect is thoughts of suicide, heart attack, stroke, increased probability to cancer. Like, so you gonna take the remedy and now you want to kill yourself? That's crazy. That lets you know that medication is hacking into your biochemical makeup and augmenting your DNA to the point where you don't even like yourself no more. It didn't change the thoughts and how you feel about yourself till you want to just leave Earth. So, like, think about how evil a side effect of thoughts of suicide. So I can't sleep. I'm having some issues. I can't sleep. I need some Lunesta. The commercial come on. They got a butterfly flying through the room. The lady's happy. She running through weeds and flowers and rain, mist, and dew and stuff like that. Then she go upstairs, go to her room, and she lay down, like, and then the commercial be in that real soft tone, Lunesta. Side effects may include thoughts of suicide, heart attack, stroke, rectal bleeding, crispy knees, bad elbows, bad skin, rotting teeth, decaying eyesight. Like, and then they go back, Lunesta, try it now. I mean, like, that's what they do to you. So in order to get some rest, I got to think about killing myself. And I'm supposed to trust that same system to assist me and help me and really be there for me. And I think that you're going to tell me the truth when you're incentivized to get me hooked on medication so that the pharmaceutical companies can make billions and billions and billions of dollars off our demise. why they keep feeding us food, why they keep intentionally and purposefully and willingly putting bad food out there with chemicals when they just don't have to put the chemicals. It would have a shorter shelf life, but they don't have to put the chemicals in there. You can grow food and fruit without putting pesticides on it. There's organic pesticides. There's things that God put in nature that keeps other bugs away from stuff. And we have the technology. We all know about it. It's just that it's easier and it's cheaper to do. And then you want to force the agriculture and the farmers and stuff like that to take the bad seeds that you provide, the seeds that don't yield any of its kind. And that's why they're trying to get all the seeded fruit out the way. Go to Whole Foods and ask them for where's the seeded grapes at. Say, sir, how do you have organic seedless grapes?
That's true.
Sir, can you, because I went to Whole Foods and I asked him, I said, sir, how you doing? He's like, hey, how you doing? I see that you have organic seedless grapes. How can it be seedless and organic at the same time? He turned and looked at me, looked at the grapes. He said, sir, I don't know. I just worked. I promise to you, I'm not even trying to be funny. That's what the man said.
How is that?
That don't even make sense. How is it organic? Because organic under the health code regulation just means that you use pesticides that was created that was organic, created with quote unquote organic herbicides and pesticides that was created for something that is found in the earth opposed to a chemical. And then they're charging us an upcharge as if not spraying chemicals on our food is we should pay more because you're spraying chemicals that are created from natural things that's found in the earth. And then we're all getting paid. And then there's still a level of duplicitousness on top of that, where they're making it seem like organic means that it's from the earth and it's naturally untouched. But that's not even true in itself. So
yeah, that's true. And then something else I wanted to bring up, right? Because I forgot about this. That when I was that whole weight thing that I was trying to get, whatever, right? Because we're gonna be done with this. I had actually started thinking, because they keep talking about women getting of a certain age. They keep talking about menopause. So then they say that if you are a woman of a certain age and you done started gaining weight or whatever, then you're probably going to just be like that because it's menopause and you going through menopause and you got to take some sort of type of medicines or whatever. So I started looking like, well, maybe my body structure is something, or my chemicals, something in my body is changing, and that's why this weight or whatever won't cut. That had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with the type of food and stuff that I was eating. But what I wanted to ask you was about, right, so I don't know what everyone medical thing is, but let's not get caught up in this whole menopause, because I don't know if they're trying to give us some type of medicine or drugs, or they're trying to sell us something. And that's why they keep talking about menopause, and you going through all of these issues. But I kid you not, I asked my mom, I said, Mom, do you remember about what age did you start your menopause? And my mother told me that she don't even remember going through menopause. I said, you don't remember nothing, Mom? They said weight gain, whatever, hot, cold flashes, you can't sleep, all of that stuff. So you don't remember none of that. Now, my mother remembers a lot of stuff. If you ask her something, she can go back and oh yeah, I remember when that had happened. It was probably around this time. But for her to say that she don't remember nothing about no menopause. So when she said that, well, then I was like, well, then I guess it ain't no menopause and ain't nothing for me to worry about. But you do have to remember that if somebody keeps telling you something, then you start believing that could be a thing. So if your friends or your family keep menopause, then you're going to think that you're going through menopause. Somebody like, oh, heart disease, run in the family. So then you're going to be like, well, I guess heart disease run in my family. Cancer. Well, then I guess I can get cancer because they keep saying cancer run in the family. Well, my mama said she don't remember about no menopause. So then I'm assuming I'm not going through no menopause then, especially if I done went to Italy in 3 weeks and what I felt like I couldn't get rid of here, I got rid of there, and I wasn't even going to the gym in Italy. I hadn't walked up no mountain. I wasn't doing all of these extra walks and things that I was doing over here. It was simply, just like Chad, simply because of the food. So now since you done lost this weight and you done did all of this on your own, what do you think about people that's taking this GLP-1 shot? We got Serena Williams sitting up there talking about, I did everything that I could. I tried to work out, and I think they picked a fabulous person, because then you see, because I seen the black women, they literally chose Serena, I think, to go after us black women. That's what I think. Because then black people like, well, we know Serena. She working out. Serena them doing tennis. So if Serena couldn't lose the weight, like she would know, because she been doing this ever since she was a kid. So if Serena talking about that she done had her kids and she couldn't lose the weight and she had to take the GLP-1 because she tried all the exercises and all the dieting and it didn't work, then it must really be a thing. Then we must really need to take this shot. Then if she's doing it, then come to find out her husband is an investor and is on the board of Roe, the company that makes the GLP-1, and she's a paid ambassador. Like, girl, if you don't get yourself up out of here. And then all the celebrities, now all of them is not even being honest, talking about that they done lost this weight on their own. But ain't it something that they always a certain weight? And then as soon as this Ozempic came out, everybody, because we already knew about Oprah, but then everybody else done lost weight. I mean, Shaka Khan. Now, I don't know if Shaka Khan gonna say that she did that on her own. I don't know, because I just seen her on the Breakfast Club and she was talking about that I ain't getting no weight thing, like this is all my booty. Well, girl, I don't know if you was taking that Ozempic shot. Me and Chad was talking about Lil Rel. Don't y'all know the comedian Lil Rel? Where did all that weight go? Now he talking about he did that on his own. I don't know. All I know is that as soon as this shot came out, tons of people started losing weight, and I don't think they all gonna be honest. They all want to make us feel like that they done did it on their own. I don't know if I believe that. But Chad, so what do you think about the GLP-1, Ozempic, and all of these other shots?
Man, you already know how I feel about that. I don't trust nothing that they give. I don't want to hear nothing about what they got going on because you can try to hack into the chemistry and program certain things to have a response to the systems of the body, to have a neurological response, to have an immunological response. They're over vaccinating us and all of our children. That's why these vaccinations are becoming mandatory.
Mm.
And these shots, of course, they don't want you to develop a relationship with food and try to understand it. So they're going to give you this shot. And this shot, all it's going to do is reprogram your body and how to respond to food. So will you lose weight? Yeah, you'll lose weight, but you're going to probably lose muscle mass because there is no reality that ever is in life where there's a shot that you're going to be able to inject and it's just going to push out all the bad stuff in your body and then reprogram you. Because this is like soft biohacking. That's what this is doing. When you think about it, this is biohacking because you're trying to augment the DNA and the reality of a person's biochemistry. So it's just biohacking. That's what you're doing. You're reprogramming the cells and the responses and the receptors of the brain and how it distributes information, and you're hacking into the brain's system and trying to tell the brain to tell the body to do something different than what's normal to it. And anytime you try to play God, or you try to start changing people's DNA, or you try to start vaccinating people with the actual strands, a partially assembled strand of a virus, but leaving other trace pieces of the virus off so that the body can try to pick it up and assimilate it and put it, because the body is smart. It's going to try to take information that's there and put it together and figure something out. So you can program viruses into the body. That's what a vaccine is. A vaccine, when you get vaccinated for something, all they're doing is giving you a lesser version of that particular virus so that you can quote unquote make antibodies to fight against a virus if the body so shall ever see it again. But if the body already does that on its own, so you don't need to artificially put a denatured version of this bacteria or virus strand into my system to reprogram. There can be pieces of the virus programming that's left not inside the virus so that the body can try to assimilate it later on. And I think that's what they do, because then with all these vaccinations, you later see all of these different ailments that people suffer from that the doctors never know how to fix. Mm. And so, like, I think that's where the menopause comes from. I think that's where, like, issues.
Well, then he said perimenopause. Huh? Then he says perimenopause. Go ahead.
I think that's where the menopause is coming from. I think that's where the headaches and the osteoporosis is coming from. I think that's where the dementia is coming from. All of these different ailments that people are going through, and it's all been a lie because the body can fight cancer on its own. When has radiation ever been good for anybody, any human being? We have never put radiation and human beings together and said that was a good thing. But if you have cancer, the first thing they're going to do is send radiation. You know what that's like? Radiation is like getting inside the microwave and turning it on. That's what radiation is. If you got inside the microwave, now you see what microwaves, frequency, a lot of microwave work, it takes water molecules that are inside the food and it harmonizes it. It takes the molecule and vibrates it so quickly back and forth that the friction causes the food to get hot. And these are microwaves. You have these same waves in your phone. That's why it's important to not really put the phone up to your ear, because you can change the harmonic frequencies in your brain, because your brain outputs a certain frequency, and then the phone radiation will interfere with the frequency of the brain and cause the natural synchronization of the brain to be off. And that's dangerous. But because why you think phones get hot when you be on them for too long? Where's the heat coming from? You know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, the battery is coming, but how do you think the battery is getting hot? What mechanism in there is causing it to be hot? This is frequency. How do you think phones connect to stuff? Bluetooth. How do you think you connect two things invisibly? It's the same technology. So the microwave, the phone waves, these are all waves. The body is a wave. You have an electromagnetic pulse. There's a frequency. You know what I'm saying? The earth has its own frequency. The body operates on certain megahertz. You know what I'm saying? So when your frequency is being impeded upon, you feel it. The body, the biochemical nature of the body changes when the frequencies are different.
Oh, Denise said that we need to leave the air fryers alone.
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, because the air fryers. Oh, yeah, the air fryer. Yeah, that is true.
All that quick stuff.
That is true. Right, because when they first came out with that anyway, I was like, I ain't using no air fryer. And then next thing you know,
it's convenient, though.
I'm using that. Yeah.
It's convenient.
Yeah, it is convenient.
Cook out of cast iron. If you're going to cook, 1,000,000,000% cook out of cast iron, because your food will absorb the iron in the pots and pans. If you cook out of nonstick, you release nonstick chemicals, because remember, all these things are coated. They're coated in a particular substance. And these coatings that cause food not to stick to it is a chemical coating. So once pots and pans get hot enough, that coating starts to melt. This is why pots and pans over time lose their ability to non-stick. That's because the coating is being worn off, because it can't compromise at a heat that's outside of what it was regulated for. So then you're releasing that coating into your food over time, even getting yourself sick. Same thing with microplastics.
Right, because I seen a documentary where they was talking about that non-stick stuff, and they said that everybody got that chemical inside them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was messed up. I'm like, what? So we got the chemical from the non-stick, like it's just in us.
That's good. Look at what they're doing, though. And that's why we can't. This is why we're not healthy. The chemicals. Calories. The word calorie and what calories really mean is, calories is a metric where it takes a certain amount of energy to burn a particular unit. That's what a calorie is. That's all that it is. So when somebody be like, oh, this is 200 calories, what that means is it would take you a certain amount of time to burn this particular item. This is how long it takes based off of this metric. So if it's 400 calories, then it'll take you this much time to burn this many calories. That's all the whole caloric system is really based off of. But they got you fixated on that. But then they put a bio of ingredients at the bottom, all these different things, and that's the stuff that we should be looking at. But we're looking at, this is this many calories, this many grams of fat, this many grams of saturated fat, this many grams of protein, thinking that protein really comes from meat. How is that possible? How does chicken have that 18 grams of protein? How? So we're talking about protein, we're talking about amino acid structures, because that's all that protein is amino acid. And how do chickens automatically have protein in it? How is that? It would be from whatever the chicken ate. It would be a trace amount of protein based off of the diet of the chicken. You don't just grow up with protein inside you. You know what I'm saying? Even human beings are deficient of minerals if we don't go eat stuff that has those minerals in it. You don't just grow up and you just have all the minerals already inside you. You have to eat things that have that mineral content so that you can be healthy. But they didn't lie about everything. Oh, animal flesh has this many proteins. You know what? I still like meat. I'm not going, I'm not dogging meat, but I'm just saying, why are you lying though? let us know that there's really no value. It's a decaying flesh. If I'm eating the tissue of a cow or the tissue of a bird or the tissue of any other animal, like it's decaying. My body is not a trash container. It's not a decay. I need living things. That's how the Most High set it up. Most High set it up for me to eat things that He put here. And if that wasn't the case, why are they taking all the seeds out of everything that God made?
Mm-hmm.
And anything that can't produce or yield of itself is not from the Creator.
Very true. Well, this has been a very good interview.
Yeah.
I got one final question for you. This is my last question. My last question to you is for someone watching or listening who's struggling with their own weight, what's the realest advice, Chad, that you can give them to just get started?
The first thing that I'm gonna tell everybody, no matter where you at, what you're going through, what you've been through, I get it, trillion %, is you got to start with that cleanse. And the reason why that cleanse, you have to start with that because the absorption happens in the stomach. So you got to change that oil to the car. So if you can complete that cleanse by default is going to appropriate your mindset, because in order to properly complete that cleanse, it's going to have specific things that you have to do in order to properly complete it. First of all, the cleanse is like $120. So once you order, I think psychologically, if you're ready to do that, you're not going to really want to waste your money. Number one. Number two, the list, before you order it, you can go on the website, you can look at it and see the list that is required to complete the cleanse. And already the list is going to say no meat, no hybrids, no non-seeded fruits.
You said no microwave.
No microwave, no canned foods, no frozen foods, no box foods, none of that. No air fryer.
Cut everything out.
Yes. So that is already going to prepare. If you can do that and see, that's something that's tangible. So for me, it's like, I understand it's hard to just curate a mindset where you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna start now. But if you take a look at that cleanse and you purchase the cleanse and you see what the mandates are, and then you be like, okay, I'm gonna follow that, that's going to prep your mindset. When you come off of that cleanse, that 3.5 weeks, that 3 to 3.5 weeks, when you come off of that cleanse, you're not going to psychologically, you're not going to want to run back to meats, because number one, you're going to feel achieved. You're going to feel like you've broken chains. You're going to strengthen your psychology and your understanding with foods. You're going to feel the difference. When that stuff get removed, and then you're going to have a sense of value, because you're like, I was able to not have meat. So it's going to break a lot of curses and chains that you were, addictions that you were stuck on, if you can complete it. Because it's stripping you. It's just going to be you the Most High in that cleanse, because that first it's going to be difficult. It's going to take everything away from you, all the bread, all the snacks, and it's going to force you to have to find a different relationship with food. Because if you do complete that, that's like the biggest thing. That's the biggest motion that you can create to be compelled to move forward. After you do that, I promise you that will be a milestone, and you will be able to move closer to your goal after you finish that. And then you're going to move from that. You're going to take you a week or whatever, balance yourself out, and then you're going to move into the next cleanse. Because what you got to flush. You got to convince your universe that it's safe to come outside now. It's safe to go ahead and go back to work and start rebuilding your nation, your universe that's within you.
Okay, and then where do people, even though I'll leave the information for the cleanse, but where do people get the cleanse?
Oh, it's my dude Rambo. It's on Alkaline Jungle.
Alkaline Jungle?
Yep.
Is
AlkalineJungle.com.
Okay, AlkalineJungle.com.
Yep. And I'm going to have to, I've been reaching out to him to see if, because I don't know how many, if a lot of people start going to, I don't know how many he has available. You know what I mean? Because usually he'll have like 10 or 12. But if like 100 people or 50 or 75 people try to all get one, he may be like, whoa, where's all this? And it takes him a little time to, to make these cleanses, because, it's real plants and herbs. This is stuff that he's pulling out of the earth. I watched this man dive in the ocean and pull sea moss off the rocks. I don't just trust anybody with my health. I've been vetting this man out for like 12, 13 years.
Mhm.
I've been vetting him out, and I'm a scientist, so I'm observing him under the most scrutiny possible, waiting for anything to be off. But the fact that he's showing himself pulling the sea moss off the ocean, when the sea moss first came out, everybody was trying to make and recreate their own, and it wasn't authentic. And then we bought some and seen like the sea snails and the ocean snails still on it, and we had to clean it and then put it in water and then expand it, did exactly what it was supposed to do. I bought cleanses. Maya has taken cleanses. My mom did a cleanse, and they all had Maya's stomach got better, her skin got better, and then the sea moss capsules. I'm on a parasite cleanse now. The GI, the parasite cleanse right now, and you see that I'm knocking weight is coming off and stuff like that because I'm clearing out for parasites, and I'll be telling you how it feels and how hot it is, and it's cooking parasites out of my intestinal tract and so on and so forth. The sea moss capsules and cell rejuvenate, all of that stuff. He's really smart. I believe the Most High has blessed him, giving him discernment, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I like him a lot, and that's where I would reach out to.
Okay. Alkaline Jungle people, alkalinejungle.com. I'll take that link and put it at the bottom of this particular video. But it was a great interview.
Yeah, I can answer a few questions if there's any questions right now. I don't know if I've been answering the time.
No,
we've been on here for a while.
Yeah, we've been on here for a while.
Try to cover.
Yeah. I think you said a lot. Yeah, I think you said a lot. And thank you so much, Chad, for being raw and honest with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this interview was very powerful. You gave us a lot of information. Denise said, thank you for your transparency.
Oh, yeah. No problem, sis. Okay.
And to the audience, whether you caught this on Geneva's Closet, or you're hearing it later on Unpolished with Geneva McLean, remember this. Your health journey is yours. Forget the comparisons. Forget the crash diets. Forget the shame. Take it one step, one choice, and one day at a time. Basically, right. That's all you can do.
Make sure you get down and full prostrate to the Most High, because that's how, once I found out that I can, be more humble and be more in submission to the Most High, I started to do full prostrate. So now I used to pray on my knees and have my hands, but now I pray with my face to the ground, just to show the Creator that, I'm trying to be as low as I possibly can in reverence to His majesty and that He is the Creator and all that He does for me and does for us that we don't even think about. Like, one of the biggest things that kind of hit me, and I'm gonna leave with this, is that the Most High can snatch me at any point in time that He wants to, because it is Him that keeps my heart beating. Think about that. None of us have any access to keep our heart beating. It is completely 100%. I know that we all know that it's an involuntary muscle, but who do you think is in control of that? Who do you think makes that heart beat as it's beating? That heart don't beat because you want it to beat, because you think about it beating, because you hope that it beats and you have some type of influence on it beating. It's completely 1,000% up to the Most High when that's your last beat, and if He continues to allow it to beat. So just knowing that my heart beats in my chest because it's the will of my Creator, it's the will of the Most High that He allows that, and He's completely tied to that, just lets me know that it's only through Him that I'm here. And anything that I have is a gift from Him. Anything that I have, He's allowed me. Anything that I wake up in the morning, I'm rejuvenated. Sleep is from the Most High. You know what I mean? Like, anything, vision. I thank the Most High for vision, for hearing, for taste, for touch, for smell, all of the stuff that sometimes, I take for granted, that I used to take for granted because you're in the everyday, day-to-day struggle or day-to-day grind or whatnot. You're trying to make it and get money and all of that stuff, and your career and your family and children, that there's some people that the Most High didn't give that to. There's some people that don't have peaceful rest. There's some people that can't sleep throughout the night. Some people don't have a warm bed or a cool environment or a roof over their head. Some people are born and their country is at war. Children are starving. People are not allowed aid and water and health. You know what I mean? So the Most High decided and allowed, for you to we have to take these opportunities that we hear and do the best that we can and make sure we can love each other the best that we can, just as human beings. That's it.
Okay. Well, then I guess that's where we're going to end it off at. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chad, for joining us today for this fabulous interview. Thank you for the audience. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And as always, this is Unpolished with Geneva McClain, where we keep it real, raw, and unapologetic. Until next time, love yourself enough to show up for your own transformation. You all have a great day, a fabulous evening. Thank you for joining me. Bye.